Thank you everyone for your patience. We'll be starting up. Good morning and welcome to the Public Improvement Commission hearing of July 23rd, 2020. The first item are the hearing minutes at the request of the Public Improvement Commission staff, the acceptance of the minutes of the PIC hearing held on June 18th, 2020. Any questions or comments from the commissioners on the minutes? All right, hearing none, I'll entertain a motion for this item.
I make a motion to approve the minutes of the Public Improvement Commission hearing, to accept the minutes for the meeting held on June 18th, 2020.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so moved. Moving on to our public hearing continued. Our first item is on the petition by Mark Development LLC for the widening, relocation, and extension of existing right-of-way lines of Commonwealth Avenue, a public way in Boston proper, generally at Beacon Street and Kenmore Square, located west of Brookline Avenue. This was new business on April 23rd, 2020, had its first public hearing on May 21st, 2020, had a public hearing continued on June 18th, 2020, and this is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Widening and Relocation Plan, Commonwealth Avenue, Fenway, one sheet, dated March 2020. Is Mark Kemmer LLC here to present?
Good morning, Chairman Osgood and members of the commission. This is Steve Moderano from Boulder here on behalf of Mark. Yes. Can you hear me?
We can. You're going in and out a little bit, but we can hear you.
Am I unmuted? It's Steve Moderano from Boulder. Can you hear me?
We can hear you. Are you able to hear us, Steve?
Not working.
Steve, are you able to hear us?
Okay. Apologize for that. Let me try switch. Give me 1 second. Let me try enhance my internet connection here and see if we can get a better connection.
Sounds good.
Yes.
Steve, it looks like you're now frozen. Are you still with us? We will give him another moment or two, and Todd, unless this is not something we can do, we can move to, Steve, you're back. Okay.
Sorry about that, guys. I had to switch internet connections there. I think this is better. So Steve Moderano from Boulder, here on behalf of Mark Kenmore LLC. Apologize for the internet woes, but also we are here to request another continuance. We've said that this is a significant project. We want to make sure we get it right. We're still working through some details. So would like to request a continuance to the August hearing. We're hopeful we have further details ironed out by then and would like to present at that time.
Thank you, Steve. Questions or comments by the commission? Todd or Robbie?
We're all set. The August hearing would be August 28th.
August 28th is the August hearing?
20.
Sorry, Todd, I didn't quite hear that.
20.
20th.
Yes.
Great. All right. Questions or comments by members of the public? All right. I'll entertain a motion to continue this item until August 20th.
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing, continued item number 1 is read into the record by the chair until August 20th.
Second.
I just have a question. Is there a limit to the amount of times this could be continued?
Sir, could you please identify yourself for the record?
Corey DiBenedetto. Interested in the project.
Thank you, sir.
Member of the public. Is there a limit to the amount of times this can be continued?
There's not technically a limit to the number of times it can be continued. However, we typically will not allow a project to span a calendar year. So this should be wrapped up before the end of 2020.
Okay, thank you.
So I've heard a motion and a second on the request to continue until August 20th. All in favor of continuing this until August 20th?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
Moving on to our next item, on a petition by Mark Kenmore LLC for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Boston proper, consisting of curb realignment, roadway and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps and driveway curb cuts. The locations are Commonwealth Avenue at address number 560-574, generally at Beacon Street and Kenmore Square, and Beacon Street, generally at Commonwealth Avenue, Kenmore Square. This was new business on April 23rd, 2020, had its first public hearing on May 21st, 2020. And its public hearing continued on June 18th, 2020, and this is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repairs Plan, Commonwealth Avenue and Beacon Street, Fenway, one sheet dated March 2020.
Good morning, Chairman Osgood and members of the commission. As similar to the previous item, we are requesting continuance, or Steve Mataron from Bowler, on behalf of Mark Kenmore LLC, are requesting a continuance to the August hearing, if the commission chooses.
Any questions or comments by the commission? Todd or Robbie?
We're all set.
Members of the public?
I see none.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion to continue public hearing, continued item number 2, as read into the record by the chair till August 20th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Moving on to our third public hearing, continued item on a joint petition by the City of Boston Transportation Department and the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority for the making of specific repairs within Summer Street, a public way in Boston proper, located at the side of 700 Atlantic Avenue, generally southeast of Atlantic Avenue, consisting of curb realignment, roadway and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated specialty pavement, street furniture, bike racks, planters, and a transit information kiosk. This was new business on May 21st, 2020, had its first public hearing on June 18th, 2020, and was shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repairs Plan, Summer Street at South Station, Boston, 6th Beach State, April 2020.
Thank you very much, Chief Osgood. This is Matt Moran from the Boston Transportation Department. I'm going to be asking Katie Moulton from WSP, who's the consultant who prepared the plans, to present them and work there to answer any questions the committee might have.
Thanks, Matt.
Good morning. This is Katie Moulton with WSP. Here in regards to the South Station project on Summer Street with the bus stop bump out. WSP and the City of Boston have, and I'm trying to share my plans. Does anyone see anything?
We don't, Katie.
Okay.
It's possible, if it can't come up, Todd, we might be able to share the plans.
Todd, do you see Katie at all? I don't see her. Miss Mosley.
I know, we're working on sharing. I apologize.
Yep. Todd is bringing up
Thank
the
you,
plan.
Todd. So these plans are slightly different than the previous plans we have submitted. The significant change is the removal of the planters that were currently shown, previously shown on the plan set. This was pretty much the only open item that we had at the last PIC meeting, and we had requested a continuance in order to figure that out a little bit further. At this point, we are eliminating the planters from the project. And the remainder of the project is the same. We are bumping out the curb lines approximately 10 feet to add in a new bus stop with the associated MBTA amenities, new signage, new bike racks just to the left of the page. And we will be striping red paint from just previous of Atlantic Ave all the way down to Dorchester Ave for a bus-only lane.
Go ahead, sorry, Katie.
No, I would say the only additional item is that the pavers within this area are going to be new. We have coordinated with the DOT pavers that are currently there, and we will be matching the pavers on the sidewalk where they currently are, and the new bump out will be concrete.
Great, and I know we talked about this in the new business hearing, but can you remind me, or Todd remind me, who has maintenance responsibility of the pavers?
A portion of this area is within the state's jurisdiction with the central artery streets. We're getting that section back at some point in the future, so this will be ours. However, we anticipate that the South Station Air Rights Development Project will take over some maintenance responsibilities once they come online and come through the Public Improvement Commission.
Todd, this is PK. In addition to what Chief Osgood asked about the pavers, what about the street furniture, the benches, the trash receptacles? Who is maintaining those?
Matt or Katie can correct me if I'm wrong, but I understand those are going to be maintained by the MBTA as part of the bus stop.
Is that, hi Matt, PK, is that the understanding of the MBTA? Because we had a couple of situations where something was lost in the translation.
Yeah, exactly. So there would be standard J.C. Deco shelters out there. So those would be obviously maintained through the city's existing Deco shelter contract, and then there would be two city standard benches that would be out there that we would maintain, and then there would be sort of bike racks that would again be city standard that we would maintain.
Okay, offline, just need to know who is the we within the city. Okay,
sure.
And Todd, do you have stamped plans? Because I don't see at least a set of plans that are on the screen, not on the screen. Yeah, either on the screen or on our files as stamped plans.
Yes.
This is the public hearing.
Yeah, the Mylars will be stamped. The digital versions that they emailed over to us that we're seeing now were not. The hard copies that I have in my office are stamped.
Couldn't hear, was that a yes or a no? Do you have them, or are they supposed to be coming?
I'm sorry. The hard copy plans that we have, that PIC has in our office are stamped.
Okay, thank you.
Digital copy or not.
Thank you.
Katie, anything else you want to cover on this item?
I don't believe so. It's a relatively straightforward, hopefully, project. Little impact to anything.
Other questions or comments by members of the commission? Todd, Robbie?
I think we're all set on this.
Members of the public?
I see none.
Very good. All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion on a joint petition of the City of Boston Transportation Department and the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority for the making of specific repairs within Summer Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Moving on to our fourth item on a joint petition by the City of Boston
Thank you.
Transportation Department and the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority for the granting of a private utility license for the installation of new utility infrastructure within Summer Street, a public way in Boston proper, located at the side of 700 Atlantic Avenue, generally southeast of Atlantic Avenue. This was new business on May 21st, 2020, had its first public hearing on June 18th, 2020, and this is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Private Utility License Plan, Summer Street at South Station, Boston, one sheet date April 2020. Matt or Katie?
Katie, I apologize. This is a corollary to the current plan.
I think Katie left.
So I,
Take it away, Matt.
so I apologize. I guess I'll have to ask for continuance to the next hearing, just because I'm not as familiar with the sort of technical specifications of this part of the plan. So this is sort of related to the J.C. Decaux shelter and sort of the power and infrastructure leading into the Decaux shelter. I know that we didn't get any specific comments or questions about it when we sent it around to the utility companies or and the other signatories. So I apologize. I thought that these were going to both be packaged into the same PIC discussion.
They should be. I mean, I think that this is, it had to be a separate action because it involved a conduit, but we just approved the structure that needs the conduit that is this action. I think they are married. I mean,
Yeah.
people can
I
have
agree.
questions, but I think that, I think we were all set on this after new business.
Amy, just a housekeeping detail. The conduits are going to be owned and managed by the MBTA. This is a joint petition. I'm not sure whether the Boston Transportation Department wants to be in the business of owning a utility that is for the single purpose of the Decaux. So that's the only part that's a little bit confusing for me. As to
Correct. We don't want
okay.
it.
Yeah, so because it is a joint petition, I think we can always do less. We can add people. When we advertise projects, we can add, we cannot add new entities to the petition, but I think we want to be clear, at least from the Transportation Department's perspective, that the city's Boston Transportation Department, I don't think you want to be in the ownership of this utility, this private utility license.
Correct. We're a co-petitioner because it's connecting to a Decaux shelter through the city's Decaux contract.
Yeah, normally MBTS will be the sole petitioner on that.
So to that point, the suggestion is to have the MBTA be the sole owner.
That would be the past practices, Chief, because when we have joint ownerships and, in years later, if something happens, we want to make sure that all utilities that are owned by the Boston Transportation Department is for the transmission of their interconnect cable and or powers that go to their traffic signals, and not to be confused with any energized lighting systems and or transmission of data power that is outside.
Agreed. Denise?
Oh, yeah, thank you. No, sorry. So actually, Matt, we did send over comments, but they were late last night. We just, asked that we keep a minimum of 18 inches vertical and horizontal distance between our facilities. And we sent you over our facility information just so you have it. So,
Great. Thanks very much, Denise.
Other questions or comments?
Chief, administrative thought, right now I'm not seeing anything on the screen and we are taping this, both the voice, verbal, all of these communications. I hope whatever that is being taped for this hearing is of adequate nature. At least my screen is blank, all I see is the PSC logo saying.
I see the plan. I see the plan on my end.
Awesome, thank you.
Todd or Abby?
I think we're all set on this as long as we are comfortable with the maintenance aspect of these lines.
Got it. Any members of the public?
I don't see any.
So I am, given that has been reviewed, I appreciate that Katie is not on this. I am, if this makes sense to the rest of the commission, I'm fine entertaining a motion to approve this contingent upon the MBTA's sort of comfort with the city, essentially, or the Transportation Department not being a co-petitioner on it. Pending that, and Todd, I defer to you on whether that is an approach that makes sense, but it seems
We just
like-
want the MBTA to be the sole person on the grant of location license.
Yeah, I just want to make sure, since I don't think they're on the call with us, that they are comfortable with that. So contingent upon them being actually agreeable to that, I'm fine with that moving forward.
Sure, I can confirm.
Yeah, I'm sure I imagine it'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve this item, again, contingent upon the MBTA. That revision with the MBTA.
I'll make a motion on a joint petition of the City of Boston Transportation Department and the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority for the granting of a private utility license for the installation of new utility structure within Summer Street, as read into the record by the chair, contingent upon the MBTA being the sole licensee for the grant of location.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thanks, Matt. Moving on to our public hearing portion. On our first item is on by Bullfinch Unit A owner LLC for the making of specific repairs within Congress Street, a public way in Boston proper located between Hanover Street, Sudbury Street, consisting of roadway reconstruction, new and relocated pedestrian ramps, street lights, and traffic control devices, as well as the removal of a center median island. This was new business on June 18th, 2020. And this is as shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, specific repair plan, Congress Street, Boston proper, 2 sheets dated March 11th, 2020.
Thank you.
Chairman, I was good. Oh, go ahead, Dino.
No, I was just gonna say, hello, Commissioner, and hello to the board members. Just wanted to say hello, Tom. It's all yours.
Well, thank you, Dino. Good morning, Chairman Osgood and members of the commission. We thank you very much for making time for us this morning. I'm on, as you know, with Dino DeFranzo. Also, John Hurley from HYM is on the call as well. And John is sharing his screen with you to show you the presentation here this morning. Also joining us is Mike Flannery from Wilson Stores and Brian Bizel from HSH in case there are any technical questions. This is an action, as you stated, Chairman Osgood, for specific repair on Congress Street between Sudbury and Hanover Street. The action was heard at the new business hearing or meeting on Thursday, June 18th. This work, I think you all know, involves the removal of the median and vehicular lane reconfiguration and reconfiguring that area between Sudbury and Hanover Streets. This is off-site mitigation that is a requirement of our Government Center Garage redevelopment, which we now call Bullfinch Crossing. It's long been memorialized, as I think all of you know, in our Article 80 in our master TAPA plan. We seek to secure all necessary approvals for this work. We'd like to try and complete this work in this construction cycle, given where we are with both the City of Boston and the MBTA. We'd like to see this certainly begin now, although it certainly must be completed before we open One Congress. I think, as all of you know, our hope and expectation is to begin the demolition of the Government Center Garage that extends out over Haymarket Station and to move the buses on a temporary basis away from that. That work is slated to commence by the end of 2020 or latest early 2021. And given some long lead time item issues associated with mast arms, for example, we think that some of this work could still take place in the 2021 timeframe, but we really need to be in position to begin this work during the current construction cycle, before the end of 2020. I could pause for a moment. I think all of you know this project really well. We do have loaded up, a presentation on the buildings and the program, but I look to you, Mr. Chairman. I think we've presented this a number of times before the commission. If that's okay with you, we could do it if you need it, but if it's okay with you, we could skip that as well.
I'm comfortable with the plans, but any members of the commission need the broader context at this point? Hearing none, Tom and John and Dino, I think we're fine with just diving into the plans.
Okay, so the current lane reconfigurations, which include, dedicated bus lanes and signalization, they've all been reviewed by BTD Engineering, the signalization team, the MBTA, and a number of other City of Boston agencies. We did a remote meeting with several City of Boston agencies on Monday, July 13th. Our intent was to answer the questions, any remaining questions on that meeting, any lingering issues that might have existed. I believe there were none at that meeting, which was sort of an all hands on deck meeting. I'd be happy to pause again. We do have Brian Bizel here, Mike Flannery, anybody else. Who, if folks have a more technical question, I'd pause for one moment just to see if there are any questions on this.
I think it's, Tom, as you noted, it was one that we have reviewed previously, but members of the commission, Amy, Para, Matt is also still sort of in the meeting. I don't know if there are any comments or questions which you guys have.
Yeah, Dino and company, how are you? The only comment that we had, it's not a concern, but it's just to let you know, on Hanover Street, we do have some sewer pipes that were included in a contract, and basically at this time, they've been reviewed and there isn't any issue. We don't anticipate any work being done, but it's right where your new island is. The new sidewalk repair, basically at Congress and Hanover. Just wanted to let you know at this time, it's like 99.9% sure we're not going to cross it, but for some small chance in case we do, we'll let you know. And the work's supposed to start sometime next year. That's all. It's just a concern. It was just a kind of nothing to be worried about, but if it does become an issue, we'll let you know. That's all. Thank you.
We'll certainly continue to coordinate. We'll certainly continue to coordinate with you and just be sure that we're, aligned with everybody. We recognize, exactly where this project is in the midst of downtown and how complicated it is. And so, our watchword is to make sure that we're communicating very well with all of you folks. So we'll continue to try and do that today.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Tom, the spirit of that, and just thinking of what is immediately sort of at the bottom of this plan sheet is obviously the reconstruction of City Hall Plaza, or sort of the bottom right of it. Coordination with that construction project, I assume you've had those conversations as well?
There have been those conversations, yeah. Yeah, congratulations, by the way, on moving that forward. That's been a long time desire on all of us, on all our parts, right, is to do that. So congratulations, but we have continued to coordinate on that. I just stop and refer maybe to John Hurley if you want to do any specifics on that coordination.
Hey everyone, this is John Hurley from HYM. No, nothing really to add, Tom. I just think, we've been doing a number of coordination meetings with the City of Boston. Obviously, as we get ready to mobilize and actually do the work, that coordination will continue, just as Denise just said on the sort of water line. So it's just kind of part of how we approach it, and we'll continue to follow that approach.
Perfect. Thanks, John. One question is, which might ultimately be for Brian. Can you just walk us through what's on the median island at Hanover and Congress, and in particular, the traffic signal which is located there?
Sure, Brian, you want to take that? Would be on me, Brian.
No, I think actually I'm looking at a message. I think Brian might be having some audio and communication issues, so apologies for that on his behalf. So I'm sorry, so you're asking about right here at Hanover and Congress, is that?
Yeah. And it might be that, I don't know if Amy or another member of the...
Yeah, that section is still within the island. You can see the nose of the island. It kind of just clears the traffic signal. So there's a sign, our traffic signal, they're all being kind of retained within the space that they were. The median still exists at the point of the traffic signal.
Got it.
Chief, again, Todd and Amy, just housekeeping details. These are specific repair plans, and the plans are absolutely consistent. Okay, but what we don't have is the new lane markings. Once the roadway, once the median comes out, do we have a that should be part of the package?
Yeah, so yes, we do. I think that our hesitation here was that we are going to step through a variety of interim conditions before we get to our final. So as these will be recorded, we wanted to keep it to what is going to be there 3 years from now. So yes, we have all of the steps that the lanes and stuff are going to take between now and then. But what will appear first might not be what's there forever.
Understand, Ms. Cording, thank you.
Other questions or comments on this?
I think Brian Bizel may have just signed on, if he has anything to add.
Yeah, hey, sorry about that, guys. 4 months later, still having technical issues with virtual meetings. But yeah, we have a mast arm in the median at Hanover Street. Unfortunately, it can't be moved to the Haymarket side because the tunnels are under there, and also the Haymarket garage building itself. There's really nowhere to put the footing for the mast arm, so it's on the median, but if everyone could see it, it's actually as far north as we can make it on the median. So if in the future we ever wanted to open that median there and allow turns to and from Hanover Street, left turns, we would, right, thanks, John, perfect. We would be able to get those movements in there.
Got it. Thank you, Brian. Other questions or comments?
Yeah, Amy, Brian, this I don't know the answer, but within this vicinity, do we have other mast arm structures? Because I think there was an urban design guidelines as to the type of static signal poles, pole apparatus. I just don't recall whether we have other mast arms, because I know at State and Congress it is purposefully pole-mounted infrastructure not to compete with any of the historic buildings, and I just don't know whether Hanover Street over here, or more to the point, the next stoplights, whether we have mast arm structure.
Yeah, so there's an existing mast arm there now, and we're going to replace it with the ornamental ones.
Thanks, Brian. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Paul. Other questions or comments? Todd or Robbie?
All set?
Members of the public?
I don't see any.
Okay, all right. Unless there's anything else, Tom, John, or Gino, or Brian that you want to cover, I'll entertain a motion on this.
I'll make a
We're good.
motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
I'll make a motion on a petition by Bullfinch Unit A owner LLC for the making of specific repairs within Congress Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thanks so much. Moving on to our next item, on a petition by LaGrange Realty Ventures Nominee Trust for the vertical discontinuance of portions of LaGrange Street, a public way in West Roxbury, located on its northeasterly side, at address numbers 415-425, generally between Center Street and Chapin Avenue/Dent Street, vertically above the grade of the sidewalk, issuing business on June 18, 2020. And this is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department Engineering Division Vertical Discontinuance Plan 425 Virginia Street, Public Way, West Roxbury, one sheet dated January 9th, 2020.
Good morning, Madam. Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Can you hear me?
Ken?
Yes, thank you. Nick Pizzula, McDermott, Quilty, and Miller, on behalf of the petitioner, LaGrange Realty Ventures Nominee Trust. Jeff Bierman is here with me today, as well as Mike Clifford and Bert Corey from PGT Associates on the engineering side, Mike Lally from C&Core Contracting on the contractor side, and Doug Stefano from Stefanov Architects on the architect side. As you had mentioned, Mr. Chair, this was new business last month, but briefly, the project site is approximately 27,000 square feet of land, and in the West Roxbury neighborhood. It's bounded to the north by the Westerly Burying Ground, to the east by Center Street, to the south by LaGrange, and to the west by the MBTA commuter rail Needham branch line in the West Roxbury station. At new business, I do recall there being a request for some building renderings for context. So if I can do this correctly, I can share that with you.
That'd be great.
Are you able to see that when I have it up?
We are not yet.
Okay, how about now?
Still hasn't come up.
Yeah,
At least
okay.
for me.
Yeah, here we go. Okay,
Perfect.
how about that?
Yep, thanks, Nick.
All right, there you go. First time doing that, I apologize. At least I'm not Steve Martirano, I can figure out my internet though, you know? Sorry, Steve. So, I know. This is a project just to construct a new 3-story building, 40 residential condominium units. It's just under 50,000 square feet, below grade parking for 65 vehicles. You can see the garage entrance there on the left side of your screen. It's an appropriately designed building, related improvements in site design, open space and access. And again, at the new business hearing, you'd requested some building renderings for context. So here's one straight on showing the entirety of the building. This next one here is from Stefanov Architects, shows a little bit more of the side of the building and the treatment of the site and of the building, the new building, as it abuts the train tracks and the bridge on the Grange. And then the third image that I can show here is an image of the rear of the building as it overlooks the westerly burying ground to its north. So those are some of the images that we can share, and then I can stop sharing my screen. And if Todd is able to share the plans, we can go ahead and dive into the 3 petitions. The petitions in front of the commission today can have discontinuances along LaGrange Street at 6 different points, specific repairs, and temporary earth retention. I do know that at the new business hearing, there was a request that we revise the specific repairs plan in order to soften some of the curb cuts.
Yep.
You know, revised.
Yep, before we get to that, let's
Sorry.
we'll discontinuance and then we'll get to specific repairs.
I apologize, Mr. Chair. Yeah, so why don't I be quiet and let Mike and Bert walk you through the vertical discontinuance.
Great, thanks so much.
Hi, this is Mike Clifford of DGT. I'll talk about the vertical discontinuance. This was more of a survey effort than civil engineering. Basically, we've got a vertical discontinuance of about 2 feet in the public way on LaGrange Street, which is to accommodate roof overhangs. The architect, if necessary, can talk about each of those overhangs. But it is in different sections. Let me just zoom in on my plan here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 areas with those sliver discontinuances that are typically about 2 feet into the public way. The cross sections are above, showing that they begin at an elevation 156-foot Boston City base versus a grade of 139. So they start above grade. Any questions about that I could answer?
Just a couple of quick questions. So it is most of the discontinued area is going to be repurposed or reprogrammed with just the roof structure, or is there a building protrusion into that space?
I will defer to the architect. They are building elements. That's as much as I could say about it as the surveyor for the project.
The reason is we just need to understand what type of a structure is still about, whether it is discontinued or not. The inspection services department may have concerns about the traditional icicles forming and beating my head if I'm walking underneath. So
it is a projection of the building from the second floor up, so it's not a cornice projection.
Right, that's what I'm calculating, at least from your drawings. It is just not the roof; it is the whole building. I mean, there's living space that is protruding into this 2 feet, and then the question is the very bottom of that protrusion, not the top. How is that managed for training purposes, and I will defer to the expertise of the Inspection Services Department on that tollpath. And that is question one. Question two, Todd, Mr. Lyman, is this City Council or is this BBDA for the discontinuance in terms of fee?
The applicant owns the fee in these discontinuance areas. So the BPA taking is not required.
Okay.
This is Doug Stefano. Can I speak for a moment? Can I speak to that?
Certainly.
Yeah, yes, Doug, go ahead, Doug.
Hi, this is Doug Stefano, Stefano Architects, architect of record for LaGrange Street. Just a clarification, there is no actual building area over the property line. The overhangs into the public realm are purely roof projections and trim details for the belt lines and the rake boards for the gables and the hip roof, which we've actually minimized over the course of the construction. So no building area physically overhangs the property. There will be a gutter at the second floor level. The building is top is, as you can see, a mansard with intermittent gables and then one hip roof over the main entry. We have gutters picking up the water runoff, which would be brought down to grade. There'll be no icicles forming at the gables. The only potential threat might be that of the hip roof, of which we would provide trace heat at the eave. And, you know, in modern construction, ice dams are not as prevalent as they were when insulation wasn't well done. We have a mechanical space at the very top of that hip roof above the entry, so that's kind of a cold space anyway. And then there are smaller projections down towards Center Street, which are nothing but two-story bays, which have a trim package like a cove and then a gutter that projects out over the sidewalk. Okay.
Doug, thank you.
Questions?
Doug, go ahead. All right, any other questions or comments from you?
No, not on this chief. When they do this, the earth retention, I have another question, but not to this.
Okay, thank you.
Other questions or comments from the commission on the vertical discontinuance? Todd or Avi?
We've received the appraisal from the project team, and provided that this action is approved, we would expect payment for that discontinuance fee shortly.
Todd, I missed some of that, but that's understood by the project team?
Yes. Yes.
Yes, understood.
Great. All right, members of the public?
I see none.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion on a petition by LaGrange Realty Ventures nominee trust for the vertical discontinuance of portions of LaGrange Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Moving on to our third item, on a petition by LaGrange Realty Ventures nominee trust for the making of specific repairs within LaGrange Street, a public way in West Roxbury, located on its northeasterly side at address numbers 415-425, generally between Center Street and Chapin Avenue/Dent Street, consisting of curb realignment, sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated bike racks and driveway curb cuts. This was new business on June 18, 2020. This is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repairs Plan, 425 LaGrange Street Public Way, West Roxbury, one sheet dated July 8, 2019.
Yes, again, Mr. Chair, Attorney Nick Zazula, McDermott, Quilty, and Miller. I apologize earlier, I jumped the gun on this, but at the new business hearing, we did hear a request to revise the specific repairs petition in order to soften the curbs. Revised plans were submitted with these changes in plan. So I don't know if Bert or Mike want to go over in more detail, but just wanted to mention that we did make those changes.
Good morning, everyone. It's Rick Corey, civil engineer for this project. I don't know if you can hear me or see me.
Oh, we can, Brett.
Great. Yes, at the last new business hearing, the one thing that came up was softening the curb line as we enter into the parallel parking area that runs parallel to LaGrange. We revised the plan. We added 4-foot radius inside curves and 10-foot radius on the outside of the curves just to soften those out. That plan has been updated and has been sent back into your office.
Perfect, thank you. Todd Parr, that's in keeping with our standards?
I am confident that Bert has done what needs to be done. Sorry, Chief, didn't get a chance to look at this. For the project proponent, I'm fairly certain you are aware that there's a very strong community, neighborhood associations that are very active in this area. Since I haven't had a chance to speak to those city's representatives from the Mayor's Office of Neighborhood Services, would you care, sir, to make a statement as to the acceptance of this project in the eyes of the immediate community? If you could just make a statement that you had a community meetings and they were receptive or something.
Oh, yes. This is an Article 80 small project review project. So it did go through a vigorous Article 80 process with the community members. It actually was gone through by a different project owner at that time, but in reviewing the Article 80 memo through DPDA, there was an extensive community process as part of the project.
Thank you, sir.
Other questions or comments on the specific repair plan? Todd or Robbie?
We're all set on this.
No. Members of the public?
I don't see any.
Got it. All right, I'll entertain a motion on the specific repair plan.
I make a motion to approve a petition by LaGrange Realty Ventures Nominee Trust for specific repairs on LaGrange Street, West Roxbury, as further read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Moving on to our fourth item on a petition by LaGrange Realty Ventures Nominee Trust for the granting of an earth retention license for the installation of a temporary earth support system within LaGrange Street, a public way in West Roxbury, located on its northeasterly side at address numbers 415-425, generally between Center Street and Chapin Avenue/Dent Street. This was new business on June 18th, 2020. This is shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Temporary Earth Retention Plan, 425 LaGrange Street, Boston, 2 sheets dated June 26, 2019.
Good morning, Mr. Chair, members of the commission. Again, Nick Zazula, McDermott, Quilty, and Miller, members of the project team. I don't know if Mike or Bert or if Mike Lally would like to discuss the temporary earth retention petition on our end.
This is Mike Lally with Stee & Shore Contracting. I can certainly run through it. Regarding the encroachment of the earth support system into the public way, it's really the south side of the project, the view that is on the screen now. There are maybe about 36 piles or so along the southern border. There are 3 of them that are clearly out into the public way, and the remaining 33, 3 of them are on the property itself. And there are about 30 piles that encroach into the public way, anywhere from 3 to 6 inches. So we've tried to design a system that keeps the earth support system as tight to the project as possible, but allowing, just enough room to build the one-sided wall construction that shows on the section view that's on the screen now. So I think the earth support system has been designed, again, as tight to the property as possible. So that's a general description of the system. It is a pre-drilled system. So very low vibration. We're gonna auger holes into the soil and rock, set the pilings in place, and then backfill with flowable fill, and install timber lagging between the pilings to retain the earth.
Couple of comments from me. I don't know whether you're geotechnical engineers here, the gentleman who just spoke. I'm going to assume you are the contractor, sir?
Correct.
Okay, so that makes my question a little bit awkward. I am posing this question to the designers or those who are representing the design and or the developer. Question 1, the proximity of this project to the MBTA tracks. Did the project team see a need to have the plans reviewed by the MBTA to the proximity of your pile driving action to the train tracks? Can Mike or Nick or someone help me with that question?
Well, maybe I can handle that.
Yeah, Mike, go ahead.
The earth support system does not extend the full southern property limit up to the abutting MBTA property. It stops, so the earth support plans sort of potentially suggest that the pilings go that way. What's
Give me a
not
second,
shown
sir.
on our,
I'm sorry, I can't see you and I'm having difficulty trying to match voices to names. You, sir, come on. You are still the contractor, right?
correct.
Okay. It would be awkward for you to add testimony with your means and methods of construction. My question shouldn't be rested on your shoulders. So I'm just putting an open question as to whether the MBTA is aware of your project.
Yes,
Okay,
yeah,
not just keep it out
Yes,
there.
yeah, Jeff, I can handle that. Yes, Para, this is Nick again. Yes, we did require MDOT approval for the consent to issuance of a building permit due to Chapter 40, Section 54A, permits for construction on railroads right away. We did get that approval in June of 2019.
Okay,
So
awesome.
yeah, they are
So-
aware of the project. I apologize if that's what you're asking. I was pulling it up while you were asking it.
Thank you. Just wanted to make sure that the left hand and the right hand was happening.
Yes.
My second
Yes,
question
absolutely.
is your cutoff of your piles. Okay, here's my editorial comment. It needs to meet city standards. It is not supposed to be a debate between is this enough or is this not enough. I'm fairly confident, and I'm absolutely confident that the Chief Engineer for the Public Improvement Commission, Mr. Lining, and his staff is able to convey that information to you, and it is needed for you to conform to those city standards. Okay?
Okay.
Cut off date. Thank you, sirs.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments on the earth retention license? Todd or Avi?
So yesterday, PIC staff had a meeting with the project team regarding the earth retention system. The project requested relief from the requirement to cut the system off to 6 feet below grade. I believe they want to go to 4 feet. I told them that would need to be brought to this commission. If they still would like to have that considered, they would need to provide the reasoning now.
Yeah, Todd, thank you. Thank you for bringing that up. Mike, do you want to, I can give the brief rationale, but I know on our call yesterday, you were much more eloquent in speaking with Todd as to why we're looking for this. Would you like to give them the brief review as to why we're asking for a 4-foot cutoff depth on the piles, not 6? If not, I'm happy to do so.
Yeah, no, that's fine, Nick. Happy to talk it through. So, if you'll recall, I started the discussion generally indicating the sort of the limited encroachment, while it is still an encroachment into the public way. Really what it got to was for the small projection into the public way, the additional need for essentially an excavation shoring system or significant excavation to get to the 6-foot cutoff depth. So, yeah, we had talked with the group yesterday about the potential to, with the limited encroachment, for relief to cut the piles 4 foot so that our excavation to allow the cutoff at 6 foot would not need to encroach through the sidewalk and into the paved way of LaGrange Street. We understand that the city certainly has their criteria for the 6-foot cutoff, but in this case where the whole pile doesn't encroach into the public way, we thought this might be appropriate to ask for relief for this particular situation.
Sir, let me understand your question in the context of me trying to give you some guidance. Is your request for technical reasons or financial reasons?
It's more, I think, to limit the impacts into the public way. It gets into some technical reasons requiring a need for a shoring system, per OSHA, to put a worker into a trench 6 foot deep. At 4 foot, there's no necessary shoring limit, and we felt that we could create an excavation that would stay entirely in the sidewalk and not require a nearly 9 foot wide sloped excavation, again, that would just interrupt the existing pavement, which certainly in good shape right now. So we're really just trying to bring the need for our excavation and keep it retained in the sidewalk, just again to avoid the need to have to saw cut and create repairs in the gutter of LaGrange.
Don't you need to do that to reset the curb?
Portions, but this would be, again, with a 6 foot depth of excavation and leaving a couple of 2-3 feet for the worker to access, it really results in about a 12 foot wide cut. Well, the bottom of the trench would be leveled by a few feet, and then the 6 foot cut, about 1.5 to 1 is 9 foot. So it certainly would extend into the public way a lot further than just the curb resetting work.
For the benefit of the commission members that may be not quite familiar as to why the 6 foot cutoff is there, Boston is a very old city, soon to approach 400 years, and many of our right-of-ways, and this, I'm not talking of residential streets, major arterials, we don't have much room left for the next 400 years, which we are trying to manage. So these cutoffs underneath the sidewalks were specially designed. When I say designed, the parameters put in, so that the city will have a 5 by 5 foot opening that is available for the next 400 years or however. So these 6 foot cutoffs were not pulled together whimsically. They were given much thought. So always have a concern when we start peeling off these standards, where the encroachment or the lack of being able to do it, I don't see a technical reason. I think it is more financial as per what you are saying. So that is the guidance I'm giving to the commission members, especially our members from the Water and Sewer Commission, which would be one of the primary agencies that may have to manage to install their assets for the next generations of the city. So I'll leave it at that.
Great, Parth, thank you. Sean, any thoughts on this? Sean Liu? Sean, you might be on mute. without comment, Sean, if you do have, if you do wish to speak to this, let us know. I feel, in keeping with Para's comments, Mike, I appreciate sort of what I heard you say in some ways was the 6 foot cutoff would cause greater disruption now, but it would also preclude much more significant disruption and allow us to preserve that flexibility over the long term that Par just spoke about, which is a trade-off that we're comfortable with. Again, it's why that 6 foot standard is in place, knowing that it does mean that it's going to be additional work and additional disruption during the course of the construction of this building. It reduces both disruption and preserves flexibility in the longer term. I don't know if other commission members have thoughts on the 6 foot versus 4 foot cutoff. But hearing on that, we'll want to keep this at the current city standard of a 6 foot cutoff. Other questions or comments in general on the earth retention license? Todd or Avi?
We're all set on this other than that.
Members of the public?
I see none.
Any other final comments by the project team?
None. Thank you.
I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion on a petition by LaGrange Realty Ventures nominee trust for the granting of an earth retention license within LaGrange Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so moved. Thank you so much.
Thank you for your time. Thank you.
Moving on to our 5th item on a petition by the 500 Talbot Avenue LLC for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Dorchester, consisting of curb realignment, roadway and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty pavement, street lights, street trees, landscaping, seat walls, bike racks, storm drain infrastructure, driveway curb cuts, a raised intersection, and a foundation and podium for future public art. Locations of Talbot Avenue on its northeasterly side at address number 500, generally northwest of Argyle Street, and Argyle Street on its westerly side north of Talbot Avenue. This was new business on June 18th, 2020, and this is shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repair Plan, Talbot Avenue and Argyle Street, 500 Talbot Avenue, Dorchester, 3 sheets dated May 1st, 2020.
Good morning, James Downing, Howard St. Hudson. Can everyone hear and see me?
Yep, we can.
Great. I'll try and, Todd, I'm going to try and present. If not, I know I sent you the plans, but I'll see if I can pull them up now. Are you able to see the project?
Sorry, not yet, James.
I think, Todd, you're going to have to help me out here. Sorry.
But
so as Todd helps me out, James Downing, Howard St. Hudson. I'm joined this morning by James Baker from JP Management, who's the opponent. And we're here to present the specific repair plan for 500 Talbot Ave. The project is located at the intersection of Argyle and Talbot Ave in Dorchester. The project involves the construction of a new 5-story mixed-use building with approximately 39 residential units, 3,000 square feet of market commercial space on the ground floor, also including approximately 2,000 square feet of retail or church space on the ground floor. It would also include one level of underground parking for a total of 35 parking spaces. The improvements within the right-of-way include the realignment of Argyle as it enters onto Talbot Ave to improve vehicular and pedestrian safety. It includes also the sidewalk reconstruction, new driveway, curb cuts, bike racks, street trees, and decorative sidewalk features, and also permanent pavers within the furnishing zone. So just to give the commission an update on a couple of things that occurred recently, we did get Denise your comments yesterday evening I did review those with the proponent this morning. I did not have time to go over the comments with the entire design team. However, having reviewed those with with our client, we feel like we can certainly incorporate those comments and make those minor plan edits.
All right, thanks.
The current plan, yep, no problem. The current plan shows a total of 18 new trees to be planted. We are seeking to remove 2 existing trees on Talbot Ave. Todd, I don't know if you can zoom into to that area to the left of the new crosswalk. Some history on this: we did have members of the public object to the removal of those 2 trees. 5 members of the public did. The proponent reached out to all 5, and we have had 4 of those neighbors basically now become proponents of the project. The 5th person does not want to enter conversations with us. We're trying to show them what the proposed development is going to look like. So as of now, we still have 1 person that's against the removal of those 2 trees. We are in discussions with Parks right now to see what our options are, to see whether we can get those 2 trees removed or not. We feel that the right thing would be to remove those 2 trees for a couple of reasons. One, the pruning of those existing trees may be detrimental to the actual tree. We are having an arborist look at that. And also the shape of the tree pit today would not allow for a 5-foot clear path to travel behind those 2 trees. So those are our concerns with those 2 trees. So we are seeking the commission would approve this specific repair plan today as it stands. And then if we're not able to get those 2 trees removed, we will be back to the commission because we will have to grant an easement, pedestrian easement behind those 2 trees today. So we would have to come back.
Got it. So James, you're requesting a contingent approval based upon sort of essentially the tree hearing, is that right?
Yeah, correct. Yeah, and given the fact that it's summertime, some folks at Parks and whatnot who are trying to talk with are on vacation right now as well. We were hoping to have this resolved before today's hearing.
Mr. Downey, can you hear me, sir?
Yes, I can.
Jim, a couple of things. The trees that are being proposed to be removed, they are within the public right of way. Yes. Okay. What is the caliber? What size trees are there at DBH? What's the diameter at West High?
I'm not sure right now, but I think they're approximately 10 to 15-inch caliper trees.
Okay, so 10 to 15 inch, you are in that cutoff zone. When it is more than 14 inches, we are in that environmental justice part of it. Okay, so it is important for us to know whether you are chopping down a tree. Let me say it in a nice way. If the tree removal has a diameter that is more than 14 inches at DBH, that type of information needs to be part of the process of us understanding whether the Public Improvement Commission can approve these plans irrespective of whether the Parks Department holds that hearing. Because normally the way of these projects are supposed to be nurtured is all parties need to understand whether the tree is 14 inches or more. If it is more than 14 inches, Parks Department gets engaged, and upon that tree hearing, then we hold the public hearing. He seems to be doing things a little bit differently. So that is my first question. The second is just a tiny housekeeping things. Mr. Downey, if you could tell your home team when you put your notations in the Howard-Stein Hudson signature block. 2 days from now, Mr. Downey, I'm going to forget that JD was actually James Downey. We've left enough room for you to not be shy and spell out your full name. So please help us with that. This is just a housekeeping. Take it to the home office and let them know.
Sure, will do. Thank you.
Okay. So if you could summarize, you don't know whether the trees are greater than 14 inches, and we don't know whether the Parks has given guidance on whether the tree requires, the removal of the tree requires a tree hearing. I'm just trying to get my head around.
Yeah, right. Yes, I'll have to confirm the actual diameter of each tree. We did go to there was a tree hearing held back in March, but because of the fact that we had objections to it, we were denied the removal of the trees. So that's when we were trying to, we got the contacts with people who were in objection to the trees, and that's why we reached out to them to give them, the proposed plans and to show them what the improvements were going to look like.
I mean, it's James, if I might add, this is James Baker, one of the proponents of the project, the developer. We've had 2 public meetings that we organized with mailings from the city of Boston to, all the abutters, over, 50 to 75 people that met. BPDA also had a meeting, it was 50 to 75 people. We've had very, very robust community engagement on this process, and we have very, very strong support in the community. We have 1 of the 5 that objected to the tree removal that is maintaining his objection, that will not engage with us, has not even looked at what the new plans are. And so, what we were told at the tree hearing is that, they have to, as a matter of form, if someone objects, they don't allow the tree to be removed. But, we can try and continue to work with the commission, with the commissioner, and see if there's another way to skin the cat. At this time, it just seems a little, if one person is objecting and they won't even have a conversation with us, we're adding 20 trees or 18 trees, whatever the number is, that will make for the sidewalk condition to be handicap accessible and so on and so forth. It's difficult to try and come to a resolution when you can't even have a conversation with the person.
Thank you, Mr. Baker. Sorry.
Yes.
Thank you. Okay. Thank you, sir, for adding those thought patterns, what you said. Catches me a bit off guard because I've been managing projects for quite 40+ years.
Yeah.
And these tree hearings, it is, I personally have never been at a tree hearing where one person gets to veto any given hearing. So I'm a little bit caught off guard with the way you are characterizing it. That being said, we always stand to the judgment of the Parks Department, but I've never been in a situation where one singular person can outweigh the opinion of 99 others. So I'm a little bit confused.
Well,
on that
I guess I've set precedent with that one then, because that's exactly how it was. I'm not mischaracterizing anything, so.
Yeah, it was surprising.
But at the time of the hearing, there were 5 objections, and subsequently we've gotten four people to become proponents of the project that were objecting previously.
Apologies, can you just walk us through the timeline again for when the next tree hearing is going to be? So your thought is to go back, have a subsequent tree hearing, and James, to your last point, you expect that those who were opponents before will be neutral or proponents at the next tree hearing, is that right?
Yes, we have letters of support from them, yes.
Yep. And when do you expect that to be? Whenever it's...
They meet once a month, so it would have to be in August.
Other questions or comments on this?
Actually, yeah. So James, yeah, thanks for reading our comments and stuff. So I was just curious if you can just send us over like the little comments that we did have. If you can just send us over a revised plan, just so we just have it for our file.
Sure, no problem.
Yeah, thank you.
Todd, maintenance agreements, have they been executed?
They actually have, and the proponent has agreed to, in addition to maintain all of the sidewalks, they're also going to be responsible for clearing ice and snow from both plaza areas, including the one not adjacent to their building.
Really appreciate all of the investments you guys are making in things that should improve pedestrian safety. Appreciate that being a priority of this project. One of the things which I think came up in the new business hearing was sort of access to what I think is a parking lot not associated with your property on the sort of opposite side of Argyle Street. Can you just talk us again through the access, how one gets to that garage or that parking lot?
Sure. John, I don't know if you can zoom in a little bit on right where that tabling is on the super power plan. So right now we're looking to basically access to that parcel, which is kind of beneath the text where it says rain garden. That is the quote unquote parking lot that serves the brownstones on either side. Right now, vehicle or traffic will come down Argyle and enter and then continue to leave the site and come out onto Talbot Ave. It's going to be a flush condition, the proposed curving there. The whole area is going to be tabled just for traffic counting purposes as well. And we have letters of support from the owners of the brownstones as well, supporting the proposed improvements.
Yeah, we have a letter of support from 502, which is to the left of the driveway, and from 504, I believe, which is to the right of the driveway. That parking lot actually is not owned by any of the buildings there. It's owned by a separate individual that rents the parking spots to people in the neighborhood.
Got it. That's right.
Now, we've never heard from him.
No. And then, I apologize, just to hop back to kind of the alternative, which James, you had suggested, it's now sort of just off the, or sort of just the edge of what Todd is showing. Is the, what I think might be sort of a ramp down at the front of your building, is there enough space to allow for an accessible path of travel and preserve at least the tree, which is further south, so to speak, on Talbot Avenue? Or why, or that's not part of that, you're not proposing that right now because that would require a pedestrian easement, and that wasn't something which we previously had entertained, is that right?
Right. Correct. Yeah, the existing or the proposed sidewalk right now is 6.5 feet. If we end up having to keep those tree pits, those trees, we'd have less than 5 feet.
Got it.
So we'd have to basically adjust the design there and put in, be sure that it's concrete and also provide the pet easement plan.
Is that beyond your project's capacity? I hope you folks are sensitive to where trees are in throughout Boston. It doesn't matter whether they say Hyde Park, Dorchester, or Beacon Hill. This is an extremely mature tree, at least from what I can see on Google Maps. Not sure how old those things are, so I can understand the sensitivity of people that are thoughtful about matters of this nature. So, is there something that can be done where you can preserve the tree without compromising the total integrity of your project?
Yeah, I mean, James, I don't know if you want to take that, but I think we're open to all options, to be honest with you. I think James was.
Yeah, what I would say is, and I'm going to emphasize it, Parad, not to pass words, but you said people, I will use the word person. Okay, one person, okay? And we've been working this for over a couple of years now. We can try and do something, but what I would prefer to do, because I think we could get there, is if we could get an approval contingent on Parks Department's approval of removal of the trees, and give us a little bit of time to see if we can work out that only issue. Because even though that tree looks somewhat mature, it's also not very healthy. If that's probably not a current picture, you're looking at Google Maps. That tree is, it's got some significant limbs that are already dead on it. So we're gonna go through a lot of machinations to try and do something that probably won't work in the end, in terms of saving a tree that's not there. I mean, I would like, as I said, if we get an approval contingent on a successful tree hearing with the Parks Department, and if not, we have to come back.
I think that I know the Public Improvement Commission, when put into these extraordinary circumstances, have entertained successful boards in the past where the board has been contingent. So what you're asking is not out of the ordinary.
Yeah.
A contingent board.
What do you think of that, James Downing?
Yeah, I think that's fine. I mean, if we can't get the trees removed, we're going to have to come back and adjust the plans, so.
Yeah.
The other choice, other choice which we have is, we obviously approve your other petitions. We just continue this hearing until the Parks hearing, Parks holds their pre-hearing. So that would be less stress on my memory to keep track of which was the feature.
I think the only thing with continuing is that we'd have to come back. I guess the goal would be not to have to come back if the parks approve the removal, in the sense of if we got commission approval today.
I will defer to the wisdom of other commission members and the wisdom of the chief engineer of the Public Improvement Commission, Mr. Liney.
So just to chime in here a little bit, I think there are kind of two options here. The first would be to consider approving this petition contingent on Parks Department approval to remove the trees. And if they did not remove the trees, then the project would need to come back to the PIC at some point in the future for both a modified streetscape design as well as most likely the granting of pedestrian easements to achieve the minimum sidewalk dimensions that we would require. The other option that I could see happening here is that we continue this specific repairs action, but consider hearing and approving the earth retention petition, which is coming next. That might allow the project to move forward with a foundation permit and begin construction of the building while they work through the tree issue. And then we would come back with the specific repairs either in August or September once that's been resolved. I would leave it to the commission to determine which of those is the best path forward.
When is when exactly in August is the tree hearing?
Off the top of my head, I do not know, unfortunately. We have not submitted the paperwork for that yet.
The one thing I would be cautious of is your timing, right? Because if you can't remove the tree, then you're gonna wanna be on our August with the new specific repairs as well as a pet easement so that you could get all of your approvals in September. So I would pick your choice based on knowing that if you cannot come out with the tree hearing, that you're now September, October instead of August, September.
Yep, understood.
Is there any way we can figure out when the tree hearing is, James?
Typically, it's the first Thursday of every month, but I have not, they're public meetings too, and I don't know how they're currently doing their meetings based on the pandemic.
I just checked the Parks Department's website, and they don't have the date posted yet.
No. I would prefer to try and get the approval subject to the tree, and at least, and then if we have to come back, we come back. That's my instinct, James. If I don't know how you feel, because
yes, that's fine with me. I mean, I think we have a good shot of getting those trees removed. So
yeah. Yeah.
All right, if your preference is not to request a continuance, then obviously it would be a contingent vote, and if you are obviously denied to remove the trees, they're going to be back here for both new business and for public hearing, both for the pet easement action and a revised repair plan.
Plan.
Yes.
Right.
Yep. All right. Other questions or comments on the specific repair plan? All right. Todd or Robbie?
No, I think we've identified a path forward.
So sorry, Todd. What was that?
I think we've identified a path forward. We're
Okay.
fine.
All right. Yep. All right. Members of the public?
I see none.
All right. I'll entertain a motion on this item again, obviously contingent upon the Park Department agreement.
I'll make a motion on a petition by 500 Talbot Ave LLC for the making of specific repairs within Talbot Ave and Argyle Street as read into the record by the chair, contingent upon the positive outcome of the tree removal hearing.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so moved. Moving on to our next item, on a petition by 500 Talbot Avenue LLC for the granting of an earth retention license for the installation of a temporary earth support system within the following public ways. In Dorchester, Talbot Avenue on its northeasterly side at address number 500, northwest of Argyle Street, and Argyle Street on its westerly side north of Talbot Avenue. This was new business on June 18th, 2020, and it says shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Temporary Earth Retention Plan, Talbot Avenue and Argyle Street, 500 Talbot Avenue, Dorchester, one sheet dated May 28th, 2020.
Good morning. Again, for record, James Dowling, Howard Stein Hudson, joined this morning by James Baker. The proponent is seeking to install a temporary supportive excavation consisting of soldier piles along Argyle for approximately 192 feet with an encroachment of approximately 6 feet into the public right of way. The soldier piles will be drilled to minimize ground disturbance. The temporary or the SOE will be used to support the sidewalk to allow for removal of soil to construct the lower levels of the building. Once constructed, the SOE will be cut off and removed to an elevation of 6 feet below the new concrete sidewalk.
Okay, thanks, James. Questions or comments on the earth retention license? Tyler, Robbie?
We're all set on this.
All right, members of the public?
I see none.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I make a motion to approve a petition by 500 Talbot Ave LLC for the granting of an earth retention license as further read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Our next item is on a petition by JB Investments for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Dorchester, consisting of curb and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty pavement, streetlights, street trees, and driveway curb cuts. The locations of Pleasant Street on its east side at address number 142 between Road Street and Greenmount Street, and Road Street on its southerly side east of Pleasant Street. This was new business on June 18th, 2020. And this is shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repair Plan, 142 Pleasant Street and Road Street, Dorchester, 2 sheets dated May 18th, 2020.
Good morning, Chairman and members of the Commission. Steve Materano here from Bowler, hopefully with a better internet connection than earlier. Thank you for Attorney Zazullo for pointing that out again. Just want to introduce the other team members. We've got Derek Rubinoff from Rubinoff Architects with me as well. And JB Investments is the applicant. I'm going to just share my screen. I don't think that hello is for me, but so hopefully we're good here. So just to refresh, and that will load up in a second. Hopefully there's an image of the building. It's an 8-unit project. There's 6 associated with it. And then for the specific repairs, you can see new sidewalks around the perimeter of the project. There's some street trees, and I'll switch to the plan view so you can see a little more specifically where those are occurring. And there's some reciprocal ramps and street lighting that's being proposed as part of the project as well. So as you can see, here's the proposed building. It's 142 Pleasant Street at the intersection of Road Street. Sidewalks extend just beyond the property down Road Street, just to match up where there's a good sidewalk to connect into, and we get a full panel there. We have street lights on Road Street and street lights, more decorative street lights to match what is planned for Pleasant Street and coordinating those with the lighting department, and that's the new fixture that they indicated for us. And then we bring the sidewalk down, obviously quite a bit beyond our frontage, but this will tie into the extent of the sidewalk improvements from the dot block project. So you'll get a complete block along the frontage there, and you can see some new tree pits and some special paving to go along with the 5-foot minimum concrete sidewalk section there. So a full complete street section along the frontage, and then to the north of the page, we have reciprocal ramp being built, and those the layouts of those have been coordinated with the Disabilities Commission, and that is a slight change from what we presented during the new business here. So that's a summary of specific repair. Happy to answer any questions the commission may have.
Is your streetscape the same as the dot block streetscape? Just so that, like, is there gonna be continuity here, or are we just gonna have one block of everybody's choice?
I believe it is. That's why the work is, as shown, is specifically intended to match what the dot block had. Sorry, I'm at two screens. So yes.
Perfect, that's what we're looking for. Great.
Other questions or comments? Todd, Robbie?
We're all set on this one.
All right, members of the public?
I see none.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on the specific repair plan.
I'll make a motion to approve a petition by JB Investments for the making of specific repairs within Pleasant Street and Roach Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Very good. Thank you.
Moving on to our next item, on a joint petition by Scape Boston, Boylston LLC and Boylston Kenmore 1260 LLC and Roof Deck LLC for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement adjacent to Boylston Street, a public way in Boston proper, located on its southerly side at address numbers 1252-1270, generally west of Ipswich Street. This was new business on June 18th, 2020, and this is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Pedestrian Easement Plan, Boylston Street, one sheet dated May 20th, 2020.
Hi, Chairman Osgood and members of the commission. This is Joe Capolino from VHB. Thanks for having us back. Just want to I've already shared my screen. Can you guys see the pedestrian easement plan?
We can.
Great. So as you stated, we were on new business on June 18th. As I recall, we did not receive any comments on this easement plan, but just for everybody's context, it is on the south side of Boylston Street, directly west of the Ipswich Street intersection. We did provide the 10-foot easement through part of our improvements, as Mr. Liming requested, to plan for the possible future development of the gas station site and this alleyway ramp that is directly east of our building. So that's why the 10-foot easement just actually continues straight through our site, but for now we are doing a connection to the existing conditions. If there are any other questions, we can certainly answer those. On the phone, we have ownership from Scape USA, we have Marcus Cantu from Copley Wolf, and we have Rich Curtis from Gensler, the architects.
Thank you, Joe. Questions on the pedestrian easement?
Quick question. I'm assuming you are giving us that pedestrian easement so that the sidewalk makes sense in front of your property. But can you just walk me through how you make those connections from the edges or the ends of your easement to the existing sidewalk, if I have any sidewalks over there?
Yeah, so there, I'll start on the west side, which connects to an existing 10-foot pedestrian easement, which isn't shown, but it does line up exactly here with the Viridian project. So this actually is concrete 10-foot sidewalk all the way through. So this should connect to the rest of Boylston Street in the alignment that, the commission has been allocating for projects along the south side of Boylston. What we did do, there is an existing curb with guardrail here that in existing conditions really squeeze pedestrian movement to the Veridian site from our site, but we were actually able to confirm the grading, take a lot of spot shots, and make sure we're able to remove that curb and guardrail so that we could have a continuous 10-foot sidewalk through. So we see that as a major improvement. So that's on the west side. On the east side, I'm going to slowly scroll over because I know sometimes the mouse doesn't catch up on the presentation. But there's about a 5 to 6 foot sidewalk that connects, you know, this residential and commercial portion of Boylston Street to the park areas to the east. You know, there is no furnishing zone, so the sidewalk is right up against the existing curb line. So to make that connection, we did have to provide this jog. We will be rebuilding the concrete apron that is shared between us and the gas station because right now the cross slopes are not compliant. So we're making sure that cross slopes and running slopes, because the grade does come up significantly in this area, that will all be compliant. So we do see that as an improvement as well. Although that is in the current public way, so we did not continue the easement northward. We provided the 10-foot easement through our site.
I think I'm having an off day, bad day, or just a rotten day. Your easement that is in the orange hatch mark is below, right? The pen easement, the 10-foot easement, take a little thing down, further down. The hatched area?
Yep, that is the hatched area.
No, further down. Like, go to the south side of the screen, bottom part of the screen there. No, sorry. Todd, can you help this gentleman? Okay, that screen, there are, the pen easement is shown, at least it says there, 10-foot wide city standard concrete sidewalk, and that shows on the part that has the orange hatch marks.
Yep.
Okay, so I'm going to assume that is where you are building the sidewalk. Otherwise, I fail to understand the notation of a 10-foot wide. Someone rescue me if I'm just not seeing something here.
I mean, Park, correct me if I'm wrong, your point is that it's sort of at the gas station side of this. It looks like the concrete path of travel, the 10-foot wide concrete path of travel actually goes towards Boylston and away from the pet easement, and there's sort of furnishing zone stuff, which is in the pet easement. Or is that what you're looking at?
Yeah, Chief, I'm trying to see how this permanent.
We're asking for a solid 10 feet across Boylston. So this is to remain consistent with what we'll ask from the gas station and what we have on the other side.
Amy, if it makes sense to you, I'll drop it.
I know you like your even numbers, Paro. We don't want any funkiness here.
This is not an even number issue. This is just if this.
I get it. Yeah, no, it's just where it's our Boylston standard. You know, we're watching a lot of development happen here, and it's a 10-foot setback. That is pretty standard.
Okay, so yeah, it makes sense to you because at the end of the day, the sidewalk needs to function so that pedestrian can use it. And if you are happy, I'm doing.
Correct. And with the redevelopment of the next door, like there, you know, like there is a point in the future where we would want one continuous path of travel, but we understand what's happening right now.
Awesome. Thank you, folks.
Thanks, Para. Sorry if I misunderstood the question. But as we move eastward down the street, we still have to just make this slightly awkward connection, but we have worked that out with disabilities and everyone to make this as easy as a travel way as possible, and you know, hoping for future development to continue that 10-foot easement. That's why we'll have that easement in place for when that happens.
Thank you so much for being understanding.
Anything else on the pet easement? Todd, Robbie?
No, I would just ask VHB to add the record information for the existing easement on the west side to this plan. For reference.
Joe, does that work for you?
We could certainly add that for reference to the final prints.
That'd be great.
I think Todd gave that information to us, so.
Thanks. Todd, any members of the public?
I I see none.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on the pedestrian easement.
I'll make a motion on a joint petition by State Boylston LLC and Boylston Kenmore 1260 LLC and Roof Deck LLC for the acceptance of a pedestrian easement on Boylston Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved. Moving on to our next item, on a joint petition by Skate Boylston LLC, Boylston Kenmore 1260 LLC, and Roof Deck LLC for the making of specific repairs within Boylston Street, a public way, in Boston proper, located on southerly side at address numbers 1252-1270, generally west of Ipswich Street, consisting of curb realignment, roadway, and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, specialty pavement, street lights, street trees, planters, landscaping, street furniture, bike racks, and a protected cycle track. This was new business on June 18th, 2020, and this is shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repair Plan, 1260 Boylston Street, Fenway, 2 sheets dated June 9th, 2020.
Thank you, Chris. Again, this is Joe Capolino from VHB, and it's the same team. June 18th, we did not receive any comments that warranted any major changes. So I would move to entertain any questions on the plan.
Just to reiterate two things. One, this is, correct me if I'm wrong, you've coordinated with Charlotte, and this is sort of in keeping with the overall Boylston Street design?
Yes, we've very closely coordinated with Charlotte to make sure we are in alignment with their striping and refinishing plans for bicycle improvements on Boylston Street, and then whatever future cycle track plans they might have to replace those, that striping in the future. I think Charlotte is on too, said she agrees, so thank you.
Appreciate the affirmation in the chat. Great. And then the LMI for this, I assume there will be one.
Yeah, so we do have Vic Baltera on the phone, but I think I could answer that. He's our project attorney, but I think I can answer that. Yesterday, I think Chong signed off on the LMIs conditionally until we actually close on the acquisition of the site, and then they could be executed. But I think the LMIs have been fully coordinated between us and Chong.
Great.
Yeah, I actually just have a quick question.
Sure.
So, just trying to see if I can find it on the plan. So so you're gonna bump out the sidewalk, and then you're gonna have like some sort of track. Is that what that is?
Yes, it's a raised cycle track. Yep.
Okay. So my question is, I know you're still in the review process with the site plan with BWSD. What would be the, are you planning on doing anything with, there's a catch basin that's kind of shown like at the edge of the track. I'm just curious, like, what you plan on doing with that, with the catch basin?
Sure. So this is something we worked out with Lewis and Phil a while ago because we did. I'm just giving some background. We did identify that, the 18-inch drain in Boylston would be, the curb would be over it, which we've confirmed we can construct. But, so we're providing a catch basin on this bump out and regrading the street a bit, and we're changing the top of this manhole to be eccentric so we can move the cover out of the way of the new curb. So we are providing the drainage. It's just we're changing the low point along the curb, by maybe 50 feet to accommodate the track.
Okay.
Yeah, and we did resubmit plans to Lewis yesterday, and we provided signed II and pretty much a complete submission. So I expect that to be complete soon on the site plan.
Okay, great. And then actually there was just one other small comment. Sorry, I apologize. There's another Boylston Street. It's for that one. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you, Denise.
Can you clarify on the plans what the big black dots in the middle of the sidewalk are? Because by your key, it appears that they would be traffic signals or signal posts.
Well, I really am sorry about that. Those are just would be the manhole covers for the infiltration systems that are completely under the sidewalk, but we do need access, so there will be some castings in the sidewalk, but we've tried to keep that to a minimum.
Yeah, just label them.
I will, I will. We will make sure the key matches up. Sorry about that.
Amy, to add to your thought patterns, so obviously the casting surface, if it has to be flush with the sidewalk and ADA compatible because you are within the bed easement, right?
That's correct, they are. So they would be standard BWSC frame and cover, flush with the sidewalk, which would
And
be
there's
provided that.
There's no way to get these into the not in the middle of the sidewalk?
Smack right down the middle.
We could potentially ask the precaster to move them longitudinally, but they would still maybe be on the edge of the easement. But you know, we can't move the infiltration closer to the building or further out. We're kind of, you know, we have this area of opportunity to provide as we're in the GCOD, provide this infiltration. So we could work on doing that, but it wouldn't be completely out of the easement.
I also have a feeling they're being shown as bigger than they might actually be.
Yeah,
And
I
think
will,
that,
yes.
appropriately scaled would probably, they'd look less ominous.
Sure. We'll look into it.
Other questions or comments? Todd or Avi?
We're all set.
Any members of the public?
I see none.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on the specific repair plan.
I'll make a
Motion to
motion. Go for
approve a
it.
joint petition by Skate Boston LLC, Boston Kimmore 1260 LLC, and Roof Deck LLC for specific repairs on Boylston Street as further read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. So moved. Thank you so much.
Thank you, guys.
Our next item is on a petition by National Grid for a grant of location to install a gas regulator station and associated infrastructure within Rockwood Street, a public way in North Roxbury. On its southwesterly side, generally at address number 60, northwest of Rockwood Terrace. This was new business on June 18th, 2020. And this is shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Grant of Location Plans, Rockwood Street, District Regulator Station, Jamaica Plain, 5 sheets dated February 7th, 2020.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Peter Nagel, National Grid. Trying to share my 5 pages that we had submitted to Todd. I might have to enlist his assistance on that. We were before you on June 18th for new business to seek the commission's approval to replace an older regulator station adjacent to property on 60 Rockwood Street. As discussed at that hearing, initially we sought to adhere to the commission's request to get that facility off the city rights of way, and our real estate group sought several easements in that general area, which ultimately proved unsuccessful. So thus before you today is our petition to replace the existing facility with a dual chamber regulator station in the exact same area. Working with commission staff, we've looked to add a sidewalk from the so-called white driveway down to the end of that property, which would span the scope of our facility and the construction area. At June 18th, new business, Mr. Jaya Singh requested outreach to the abutter. And Sam Luifo, who is joining me today, as well as my colleague Steve Damiano, who is our project consultant, Mr. Wifo and I visited with Mrs. White, the property owner, earlier this week to update them on both the regulator station plan as well as some other work that we are requesting the Public Works to move an existing gas service further away from the water line, and it will unencumber the ancillary parcel which the Whites own, and it will travel down the driveway. So parallel discussions with both the reg station and that service transfer, both of which the property owner was amenable to, and I have since had a phone conversation with William White, who is Susan White's husband, relative to the project, and have forwarded him some information with the understanding that there'll be continued conversation with the abutting property owner. The Whites do own there is a small unsecured stone wall at the property line, which will butt up against our station, and we'll do some cosmetic repairs to that in addition to adding the curbing and sidewalk on that area as well, per commission staff request. Envision about a 8 to 10-week completion on the reg station installation and removal of old facilities and installing of the new. And as I indicated, that there would be a service work that would be separate from the regulator station work to take place on the abutting property.
Peter, thank you for that summary. The sidewalk you're showing, what's the width of it? Sorry if that's no.
I believe, not to upset Mr. Giasing, but I believe it is 7 feet in depth.
Peter, thank you for all the work which you have done. And I truly appreciate all the efforts which your team has done to reach out to the White, let me say this time, to the William A. White family. Truly appreciate it. I see that you all had some phone conversations and conversations of that nature. Peter, you have lived this life from our side to understand my next question. In a way for you all to document that meeting with a CC, I mean, whether it's letters, snail mail, emails, anything?
Would you like me to resend the documents that
No.
to Mr. White's Gmail and CC some of the commission members?
I think
Happy to
it
do
would
that, or
be,
however you'd like me to do that.
because I think if you could just send an email to the family with a copy to Mr. Liming, saying, pursuant to our conversation, here's our understanding. Okay? Just.
Sure, I can do that.
You know, without making things awkward for any parties. Just sort of a written summary of what you think was conveyed and agreed to.
Absolutely. I'll send something along to Mr. Lyman in the next day or so. How's that?
Perfect, awesome. Because that way, when PIC takes action in years to come, when there are property rights, they can't come to the commission and say, hey, how come you all didn't notify us? At which point, we pull out this little email and say, yeah, you had a chance.
Sure, I can do that.
Thanks, Peter.
You're
Thank
welcome.
you so much.
Other questions or comments?
Yeah,
Go ahead.
hi, Peter, how are you?
Good, how are you, Denise?
Oh, good, thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to make a comment. So, you know, I don't know if you what you have for updated site plan comments from us. I have stuff from the 1st of June.
I know we had received some comments relative to the water service that is at the, I'll call it the lower portion of the hill Denise, that serves the property.
Okay, yeah, I think, yeah, we have the same comments, you know, for this, I know we wanted the 3 regulated stations, this was one of them, we definitely wanted to have site plan approval, for this one. So, you know, when you get a chance, if you haven't sent in those comments to us, if you can send in like the most updated stuff you have on the plan, for us to give you the final approval, we'd appreciate it, and I appreciate your patience with us.
Sure, I can get you something, Denise, or to Mr. LaRock.
Oh, sure, yeah, I believe he was the one that reviewed that.
Yeah, I'll get you the most updated.
Okay, thank you. Thanks, Peter.
Hi, Dennis. Hi, Dennis. Sam.
Oh, hi, Sam, how are you?
I did speak with Philip, and Philip, we did an updated design showing the water main route, and Philip told us to move the vaults away from the water main, which is what we did. He did approve the design, and then I think we go towards if Todd can move the design a little bit to his to expose the right-hand side. There's a comment that Philip told us to put in the design, which states that a test hole will be done, or a test will be done to verify the exact location of the water main, and an as-built will be prepared and given to Boston Water and Sewer. I think it's
Okay.
But I think it's further back a little bit.
I'm sorry, Sam, I can't hear you anymore.
Can you hear me now?
I can, yeah.
Okay, am I back? Hello?
Oh, hello, Sam.
Okay. So if we go to the, let me go to. Sorry. You still can go to page number 1. Yes, you're right, as it told. If you go to where it says notes, Philip asked me to include that notes.
Okay.
Towards your right-hand side, just above the that bit.
Okay.
So Philip told me to include that statement in it. And then
Oh, yeah, okay, that's true, I apologize, Sam, I didn't have that comment, so, you must have a revised set that I don't have, on me, so, okay. Yeah, that's fine, then I saw that he made the comments about the, keeping the 18-inch minimum clearance.
Yes, which is if Todd moves towards the middle.
Yeah.
Move to the left. That's it right there.
Yeah. I guess, just, if you made changes that like we haven't seen yet, if you could just, send them to us so we can review them, and then I know you're waiting for us for final approval, so we'll try our best to, give it to you.
Sure.
As soon as possible, so I appreciate your patience again, really, thank you.
Thank you, Dennis.
Peter, can you talk to us a little bit about the other work you guys are doing on Rockwood? Or are you doing other work on Rockwood?
I'm sorry, I was on mute. The other work that we'd be doing, Chief, would be a relocation of the existing service that serves the White domicile. They also own an adjacent parcel that, for both our preference and theirs, would like to unencumber that, what was at one time 50 Rockwood Street. So we're proposing to move that service away from the, if you're looking at the document, away from the existing facility and run it down their existing driveway, the main driveway, which serves 60. There's I'll call it for lack of better, a fallow driveway that does serve the former property, which is now a parcel at 50, but the new service would come down off the 12-inch onto the White's driveway and onto their property there.
Got it. So essentially the limits of your work on Rockwood are sort of this, essentially the stretch that we're looking at on screen right now.
Correct. I'll call it from the northern, for lack of better geographical description, Chief, coming up the hill from the adjacent property at 40, so picking up, at 44, coming up to the White's driveway at 60, and then the service work would be on the White's driveway going straight up into it, the domicile at 60.
Got it. Okay. All right, other questions or comments on this? Todd or Abby?
I think we're all set on this one.
All right, members of the public?
I see none.
All right, I will entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion on a petition by National Grid for a grant of location in Rockwood Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you, folks.
Thanks, Peter. Moving on to our next item on a petition by the City of Boston Public Works Department for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Roxbury, consisting of curb realignment, roadway and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, permeable pavements, streetlights, street trees, bike racks, traffic control infrastructure, storm drain infrastructure, raised crosswalks, driveway curb cuts, and bike facilities. Locations are Ruggles Street between Tremont Street and Washington Street, Tremont Street generally at Ruggles Street, Choice Way southwest of Ruggles Street, Rayner Circle at both its intersection with Ruggles Street, Cabot Street southwest of Ruggles Street, Sojourner Truth Court northeast of Ruggles Street, DeWitt Drive generally at Ruggles Street, Shawmut Avenue generally at Ruggles Street, Washington Street generally at Ruggles Street. This was new business on May 21st, 2020, and this is shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repairs Plan, Ruggles Street, Roxbury, Tremont Street to Washington Street, 34 sheets dated July 23rd, 2020.
Good morning. Zach Plosmith, Chief Design Engineer for Boston Public Works Department.
Morning, Zach.
How's it going? Attempting to share my screen right now, but I don't know if it's going to work. But anyway, I'll just give a brief introduction. I'm also joined here by Chuck Gregory from GPI, who's the design consultant for the city. As we came back in June, we presented our design for the reconstruction of Ruggles Street between Washington Street at Nubian Square to Tremont Street. This is a key connection from Nubian to Ruggles Station and the Southwest Corridor. We have had an extensive community process for this project, which we kicked off in May of 2018, with project goals being safety, traffic calming, improved conditions for walking, lighting, adding street trees, and of course, bicycle accommodations. Some of the key design elements that are included are raised intersections. We're narrowing the roadway in some of the wider sections. We're providing bump outs and raised crossings on all the side streets. We're providing a separated bicycle track where we can along the corridor and where we have the space, and as well as a new lighting system. And we're also running this, as I mentioned in the last time, in coordination with adjacent projects such as the Whittier project, which is immediately adjacent, the Nubian Square project, Mamiya Cass, all of that in the area. So with that, I'll kick it over to Chuck, who can kind of go over some of the more detailed design elements.
Good morning, everybody. Actually, it's the afternoon now. Can you hear me?
We can, Chuck.
All right, and can you see my screen?
I can.
Plan. Super. Okay, so you can see the key plan here, Ruggles Street, extending from Tremont Street, making a connection to the Southwest Corridor. That connection is from Tremont all the way to Washington Street with some various improvements at Washington Street, which I'll get into here in a few minutes. Okay, so Tremont Street, you can see the bicycle enhancements. You can start to see the raised cycle track and the connection across Tremont, which is not there today, to get people into the Northeastern University area and into the Southwest Corridor. You see a dedicated bike lane going eastbound. And of course, Rebel Street, as you know, is a one-way street for vehicles. And that extends from Tremont Street to Shawmut, where it then becomes a two-way street going to Washington Street, which will be maintained. Again, you can see dedicated bicycle facilities on street on the right, separated with precast concrete curb, as well as a raised cycle track on the north side, improved pedestrian facilities, increasing the sidewalk width through there, providing raised crosswalks at various locations, including this road, which is to be determined, which is being constructed by the Whittier folks. Moving forward, we are proposing a raised intersection at the first Rainer Circle intersection. In all, we have 2 raised intersections and 5 raised crosswalks, which will help curb speeds through there, along with reduced width along the roadway. Again, you can see Cabot Street improvements here.
Chuck, just a moment.
Yes.
Limings, are you seeing all of this stuff? My screen might be frozen. Are you seeing it all?
Chuck, we're still seeing kind of the overall project plan.
That's what I thought.
Okay, okay. All right, let me,
So the individual from your key plan, Chuck, we didn't
Okay,
see
yeah.
anything other than that initial sketch, which was given when Mr. Wasmuth shared his screen. So your screen sharing didn't, and keeping in mind that this is a public hearing and it is being recorded, we need to have an accurate record.
of course, certainly want you to see my screen, and I'm not sure.
Otherwise, the script is not going to connect.
No, I totally get that. Let me see here. Let's try. Is it any better?
Yep, that's perfect.
There we go.
Okay, all right, so I was talking earlier about the connection to the Southwest Corridor through Tremont, raised cycle tracks on the north side with a dedicated at-grade bicycle facility on the south side, and improved pedestrian facilities as well with wider sidewalks. I mentioned we have 5 total raised crosswalks and 2 raised intersections. And I believe I had gotten to this page right here on Rainer Circle, where it's a raised table. And we have a raised crosswalk here for Cabot Street. We have reduced crossing distances for pedestrians in these crosswalks. If I go too fast, please slow me down, and I don't want to miss any details for you guys. So again, Rainer Circle, this time the second intersection with them, it will be a raised crosswalk. And the raised cycle track continues there. Coming up to Sojourner Truth Court. We are providing a new dedicated crosswalk. There are no crosswalks in this location today, so at least that's striped. So we are providing a better location for the crosswalk along with the Madison Park entrance. Also, we have widened out the bus stop here, so providing an 8-foot wide area for on lighting. And at the First DeWitt Drive, at the DeWitt Center, we are proposing a raised intersection here. And they're a better entrance to the main entrance to the Madison Park. So a lot of pedestrian activity here, so that will be much improved from a safety standpoint and lowering speeds. And once we get past the WIT, the eastbound bicycle facility becomes a shared roadway. There is another bus stop here at the Smith House, which we will be maintaining. Once we get away from DeWitt as well, the westbound cycle track becomes at grade, becomes a dedicated at grade facility. As we approach Shawmut, as I mentioned earlier, it becomes, once we get past Shawmut, I should say, it becomes a two-way roadway, eastbound, westbound vehicular traffic. So the bicycle facility westbound becomes 6 feet striped, and eastbound remains a shared condition. We are maintaining the existing 7-foot wide sidewalks through there, improving cross slopes to 1.5% as we are everywhere, but certainly maintaining accessibility through here. And as we get to Washington Street, we introduced a Pine Race crosswalk on the west leg, crossing Ruggles. We also are adding a curb extension along the east side of Washington Street. We are relocating the bus shelter, the J.C. Deco shelter, moving northward to the far side of the intersection, which will help provide a little bit safer crossings than what is out there today. In addition, we are adding a third leg crosswalk on the north leg. So again, providing pedestrians more options here. There is a charter school through here, so improving the general pedestrian experience at this intersection. While talking with BCD and BPDA, we felt it was a priority. So that is the project in general. Hopefully I covered everything that needed to be covered. I'm sure I missed something out there, but Zach, do you have anything to add?
No, I think that was a good summary. Yeah, we'll open it up to any questions from commission.
Chuck, PJ here. I'm 100% certain you've done this. I just can't see it on the plans. The new crosswalk which you put on the north side of the Washington Struggles intersection, the new crosswalk, I'm going to assume it is supported by a pedestrian signal indicator.
It's not signalized through here.
Oh, my bad.
Yeah, so, but to that end, we did do a study and.
No. Traffic.
I'm sorry?
The intersection.
You mean install infrastructure for a future traffic signal? Or is that what you're referring to?
That's what I'm getting at.
Yeah, we have that included, yes.
My bad. Thank you.
Yeah, we discussed that with BTD and that was something that we decided was a good idea.
This is perhaps more about construction phasing, but how are we thinking about this particular intersection and how it connects with the Nubian Square Phase 2 project and sort of the Washington Street Link project?
Yes, 100% are thinking about that. Our limits blend transition exactly to the Nubian Square limits. And yes, as we think about that, that missing link of Washington connecting out to Almea. So yes, we are coordinating on all of those. We'll have to see where, construction actually lies when this comes out in Nubian Phase 2 and everything, but yes.
Perfect. On the corridor and sort of new street trees going in along the stretch.
So, in this particular stretch, it's not the best environment for trees as you have, it's a constricted area. You have buildings, tall buildings on either side. In this particular area, we have 3 existing trees that we are maintaining. We are providing, 3 by 8 tree pits. We are, and, from a tree perspective, we are adding approximately 32 trees. I believe that's the last count that I have. We are adding some additional trees in this last leg where there is more light getting to them.
Right. That's 32 sort of net new trees?
We have 32, so we are removing 7. And we have 32 proposed, so probably the number actually is 25 net.
Yep. All right. Other questions or comments on this? Todd or Robbie?
I think we're all set on this.
All right. Any members of the public?
I see none.
All right. I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion on a petition by the City of Boston Public Works Department for the making of specific repairs in Ruggles Street, Tremont Street, Choice Way, Raynor Circle, Cabot Street, Sojourner Truth Court, DeWitt Drive, Shaman Ave, and Washington Street, as read in the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Thanks so much, Zach and Chuck.
Thank you.
Moving on to our next item on a joint petition by the Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority and the City of Boston Transportation Department for the making of specific repairs within the following public ways in Roxbury, consisting of curb realignment, roadway and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated pedestrian ramps, street lighting infrastructure, traffic signal infrastructure, traffic control infrastructure, storm drain infrastructure, raised crosswalks, pedestrian barriers, driveway curb cuts, and median islands. Locations are Columbus Avenue between Walnut Avenue and Center Street and Ritchie Street, Walnut Avenue generally at Columbus Avenue, Dixwell Street generally or southwest of Columbus Avenue, Weld Avenue southwest of Columbus Avenue, Washington Street generally at Columbus Avenue, West Walnut Park generally at Columbus Avenue, Bray Street east of Columbus Avenue, Bancroft Street west of Columbus Avenue, Bragdon Street generally at Columbus Avenue, Dimmick Street generally at Columbus Avenue, Academy Road east of Columbus Avenue, Amory Street west of Columbus Avenue, Ritchie Street east of Columbus Avenue. This was new business on May 21st, 2020, and says shown on a set of plans entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repairs Plan, Columbus Avenue, Center Street to Walnut Street, or Walnut Ave, Boston, 16 sheets, dated June 18th, 2020.
Members of the commission, thank you for your time. And Chief, I apologize, I made you read all that only to ask for a continuance to August 20th. But yeah, we are requesting a continuance to allow time for all the city departments to provide a thorough review of the 100% plan set.
I take it as a sign of sort of the scale of good, ambitious projects that we're doing, that many city-led projects have a very long list of street names associated with them. So I know the press Amy by your rapid-fire reading of the previous set. So any questions or comments on William's request for continuance? No. Todd, Robbie?
We're good.
All right, members of the public?
None.
All right, anyone, does 1 month work for you?
Yes, August 20th is what we're shooting for.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to continue this item until August 20th.
I'll make a motion.
I make a motion to approve public hearing agenda item 12 to August 20th.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 So moved. William, we'll see you in a month.
Thank you.
All right, our next and I think final public hearing item is on a petition by the City of Boston Transportation Department for the making of specific repairs within Boylston Street, a public way in Boston proper, located on its southerly side at address number 1340, generally between Jersey Street and Richard B. Ross Way, consisting of curb realignment, roadway and sidewalk reconstruction, as well as new and relocated streetlights, bike racks, protected bike facilities, and a pedestrian island. This was new business on June 16th, 2020. This is shown on a plan entitled City of Boston Public Works Department, Engineering Division, Specific Repair Plan, Fenway Health, Boylston Street, Fenway, 1 sheet, dated June 4th, 2020.
Hello there. So this is Charlotte Fleetwood from the Boston Transportation Department. Can people see my screen? Let me try this again.
Not yet, Charlotte.
Okay. How about now?
Yep,
Okay.
coming up.
So this is, the PIP presentation is for a ramp in front of the Fenway Health Center, which is part of a larger project to create protected bike lanes on Boylston Street in the Fenway. And so it's shown on this plan in this area right here. And this is the PIC plan for the ramp. So this is for a bike lane, would then sort of come up to sidewalk level and then come back down. And the reason that we want to have this ramp is so that we can have pick up and drop off for the health center, handicap accessible in this location. We would be removing one street tree, and we are on the agenda for the August street tree hearing with the Parks Department or the Parks Commission. So we're also relocating a light post slightly. We'll be upgrading the light post so that it matches the other light posts along Boylston Street, the newer ones that are the boulevard type fixture. I think that's about it. Any questions?
Charlotte, I don't think the tree is a huge tree. I'm just trying to recall. It is not when I say a huge tree, the diameter more than 14 inches. I don't think it is a big one.
Para, this is Preston from Tool Design. That's correct. It's a 3-inch
That's what I thought.
That is very small.
Yeah. Tiny one. Not with a gigantic canopy, correct?
Correct.
Thank you, sir.
And Charlotte, I believe you covered this, but Fenway Health, they're obviously they've been engaged and are aware.
Yes, and their major concern is construction period impacts and that we give them sufficient notice and we try to minimize the duration of the construction impact.
Other questions or comments on this?
Oh, hi, Charlotte. Yeah, we didn't have any concerns with your plan. The only thing, we just wanted to let you know we are doing work in the area, and if for some reason, something changes with our limit of work and it interferes with this, we'll let you know right away.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments?
The resulting pavement markings, there's enough sufficient width within Boylston Street in this area, Charlotte, to do what? Not to do, to accommodate the rest of the modes of transportation, because I don't have updated pavement marking plans.
Yes, there's sufficient width for us. We will have to restripe the roadway. We're not planning to repave it as of yet. There's still a lot of construction happening on the street when we had a presentation earlier. Yeah.
And the only reason I'm saying that, Charlotte, is because of the jog. If you look to the east and the west of the curb line, the new curb line is a bit of a jog.
Yes.
Okay, so that means unless to the east and west you have complete parking lanes, meaning parking 24/7 parking, then it's not an issue. Because I think the jog is maybe the width of a parking lane, but because I don't know that, hopefully it all adds up correctly.
It does. There's a left turn lane that is being removed at Rich Ross Way, and that provides the space to be able to do
Okay, so which translates to the fact that modified lane markings will have to be implemented at some point so it will be good to have a pavement marking plan that goes along with this just for our files, if that can be done. Not a biggie, tiny thing.
Yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Thanks, Charlotte.
Charlotte, I apologize for covering this, but any vertical sort of device at the nose, sort of Park Drive side of the island, particularly thinking of plows on snowy days, snowy nights.
Can we throw up a no parking sign or something on there just so that we can see it?
That will be the far.
Yeah.
I mean, we could put a flex post on there. I mean, we were actually trying to keep it very open. At one point, we had the light post there and then, found a new place for it. But if that's, if that will help with plowing, we can
Just
put.
some vertical element on the first edge that you would approach with traffic, because this is gonna stick out proud, otherwise they're just gonna ram right into this.
Okay, we can look for like a small bollard or flex post or something to put there. Yeah.
Good. All right, other questions or comments? Tyler, Robbie?
So one of the streetlights that's being relocated has a handhold that's right next to it, and you're showing that handhold to be reset. Would it be possible to move that handhold so that it's not within the pull-in and keep it right next to the proposed relocated streetlight?
Sorry, Todd, I didn't quite catch all of that comment. It sounded like you were asking about the handhold that's associated with the relocated streetlight?
Correct.
Yeah, do you need to keep that if the street light's gone?
So we've been working with Mike Donahue for all of the street lighting changes. And his request was that we run conduit from the proposed street lighting location to the existing handhold location. If it would be preferred that we relocate that handhold to be closer to the proposed streetlight location, we're happy to do that.
It's that those handholds aren't traffic rated, right? So like you have to rebuild that entire handhold in a different manner, or push it into either the island or the sidewalk.
Okay.
Yeah, just
We will
just double check
reach
with
out
Mike.
to Mike to confirm exactly what we need to do to reconstruct this handhold.
Yeah, double check with Mike. Whatever he wants is what we want, but at least check with him to see if you can move it to be in the sidewalk.
Okay. Will do.
All right. Todd, any members of the public?
I see none.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on this item.
I'll make a motion on a petition of the City of Boston Transportation Department for the making of specific repairs within Boylston Street as read into the record by the chair.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
So moved.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to new business, our first item is Brewery Lane, Roxbury layout approval on a joint petition by Jackson Square Partners LLC, 25 Amory Apartments LLC, 250 Center Street Housing LLC, Massachusetts Bay Transportation Authority, and Massachusetts Department of Transportation.
Good morning,
Good
Commissioner.
afternoon.
Tarana, you can go ahead.
Thank you. We're so excited to be here today. Good afternoon, Mr. Chairman and members of the commission. My name is Taronda Ellis. I'm the real estate director for the JPMDC, representing the Jackson Square Partners, master developer for this section of Jackson Square, longtime designee. The proposal before you today is for a private way layout approval for Brewery Lane. Just for context, I'm joined by my esteemed colleagues here from Niche Engineering, the community builders, partners in our joint venture in Jackson Square redevelopment, and Niche Icon Architecture and our development council from Klein Cornick. Wanted to just lay the foundation for the context of this request, and then I will ask members of the team to join in as questions arise. So thank you for the time. So just really quickly, this particular project in Jackson Square, supported by 25 Amory Street, is a 44-unit affordable housing development, which we are before you today after some considerable effort to deliver through the Jackson Square Master Plan a public roadway that, with circumstances beyond our control, we were not able to effectively deliver the full layout. The commission's heard this an application for withdrawal back in June, in the June hearing, and we're before you today with the private way layout that would be in lieu of the original layout submitted back in, I want to say, June of 2019. So some considerable effort here. We think we have a private way layout that we can deliver in context of the original spirit of the Jackson Square Master Plan goals. And I will leave it at that for the time being, and there, open up the floor for questions.
Good morning, Commissioners. John Schmidt with Niche Engineering. It's good to see your faces after these many long months. In regards to the redesign of Brewery Lane, we are maintaining the existing curb line and sidewalk design along the 25 Amory side. So we're providing a 10-foot wide sidewalk and tree pits, the street lighting as originally approved by this commission last year. We then have a 22-foot wide traveled way for two-way traffic. No on-street parking is provided or required for the development of this project. And then we'll have a curb and a 5-foot concrete sidewalk. We are installing streetlights that comply with the City of Boston standards on both sides of the street. And in the design that we're providing you allows, should the abutter in the future come with the desire to develop that parcel, and in the city's desire to make this a public way, that can be achieved without too much heavy lifting. It's a matter of removing the sidewalk, the curbing, widening the path of the traveled way, reinstalling the sidewalk and curbing, reinstalling the street lights, and then there's some minor drainage improvements, reconnecting the storm drain to for Boston Water and Sewer purposes. Because this is a private way, we have to collect and recharge the stormwater. Should this become a public way, we have to redirect those catch basins into the Boston Water and Sewer storm system. But that's fairly minor work to do. Really, that's the extent of the rework. So we've been very thoughtful in this design, trying to protect the original integrity of the design, but providing a private way that allows the project to move forward and begin construction.
John, PJ here. There seems to be a ton of details, information on these plans that is supposed to convey to me establishing line and grade. So I'm trying to peel the various layers of it to get a sense of what is the right of way that is being established. So I just want to make sure that what I'm saying is correct. It's a 41-foot right of way that you are establishing.
Yes, it's we have a comment. If you could, I think we have a layout plan there that shows that on this drawing.
Right now I'm seeing what's on the screen here.
Yeah, right, and we're panning over. So what we've done is we provided a right of way that's approximately 41 feet wide. What we have is a 10-foot sidewalk, 22 feet traveled way, a 5-foot sidewalk, and then transition zone that brings us to the property line. And that transition zone is required for grading purposes because there is about a 3-foot change in grade in some areas between the roadway and the abutting. So the design is we've held the original layout line on our property side, on our 25 Amory side, and we have the entire we'll provide entire right-of-way to the property line that we control. So in order to widen it in the future, you could just take that property line and extend it into the abutters to provide you a wider right-of-way.
I'm sorry, Mr.
No problem.
Schmidt. I was trying to keep up with you, trying to follow the multiple thoughts.
Right.
that
So
are
the layout width of the private way is variable, but it's laid out in a manner that should you want to widen this into a public way, you have access without needing to take any land from this development project. We're providing as much right-of-way layout as we can up to.
I know, but that is the point I want all commission members to recognize. If it is to be laid out as a public street, let me say this correctly, you are petitioning us for the establishment of a private street, okay? And
Correct.
we have given enough land on, I believe, your property side to accommodate a 10-foot sidewalk, correct?
Correct.
Right. But if this is to be converted to a public street at a point in time in the future, since you all do a fair amount of work for the city, is this layout adequate in this current format in the current construction with a 5-foot sidewalk, is it adequate to meet the city standards for a public street without the city having to lift a finger?
So, Para, I'll jump in here. This street would not become public in the future without the reconstruction to be done by the abutter. So the city will not come in here and reconstruct the street to be public. It is the width that it is because they're going up to the neighbor's property line and they cannot go any further. The condition on the neighbor's side is the condition that it is because they cannot bleed into the neighbor's property. It will not become public in the future unless the neighbor and this project cooperatively conduct the work needed to turn it public.
Thank you, Todd. I appreciate you putting that on the records. So in years to come, if someone needs to understand why the city will have difficulty using its own resources to convert this to a public street at the petition through the 393 process, at least we have this, the record of this hearing where it is substandard conditions and we will accommodate a private way as laid out, but not to function as a public street at a point in time in the future unless readjustment of the right-of-way lines, correct?
Correct.
It wouldn't turn public under 393. This would have to be abandoned and laid out new as a public way.
Maybe that's even said better. Thank you.
Other questions on this? Todd or Robbie?
Chief, the lighting.
Please.
Sorry, John, the
So
lighting.
the lighting, yes, so if I can expand on the lighting will be City of Boston quality fixtures, what's used throughout the city. We are going to provide private power to the lighting, and then should this become a public way, we're providing accommodations for the future installation of a light control box and connection to the electrical system, the Eversource system.
Thank you, sir.
And just a slightly related question, presumably this other design features this are matching the other sort of development and streetscape improvements that have been happening along Amory? Yes, okay, awesome, thanks, Rhonda. All right. Other questions or comments, Todd or Robbie or members of the commission?
I will just remind the commission that this petition is going to be heard in conjunction with a petition by the Public Works Department to rescind the previous public way approval of a street in this general location of the same name. So that rescission is going to happen first on August 20th, and then presumably this petition will be heard immediately after.
Got it, and that was a new business item from the previous hearing, is that right?
Correct.
Okay. All right, any members of the public?
I see none.
All right, Toronto and John, does it work for you guys to come back on August 20th?
Yes, sir.
All right, see you in a month.
Thank you.
Our next item is 3368 Washington Street in West Roxbury, pedestrian easement, specific repairs, temporary earth retention license on a set of petitions by Washington Pine, MM LLC.
Good afternoon, John Schmidt with Niche Engineering. Blowing up that drawing in a moment. With me is Dave Akins from Community Builders, Mike Pastor and Chelsea Hopland from GEI Consulting, and Coleman Horsley from Niche Engineering. I'm going to let David give you a little bit of the background about the project itself, and then we'll dive into the weeds.
Good morning. Good afternoon, members of the commission. Thank you for having us here today. Hopefully you can hear me all right. Senior Project Manager of the Community Builders. We are working in conjunction with Pine Street Inn on the redevelopment of Pine Street Inn's warehouse and office building at 3368 Washington into 202 units of affordable housing. 140 of those units are new permanent supportive housing for homeless individuals in the city of Boston. And what we have in front of you is the supportive excavation and the specific repair plans. And we are working to start construction as soon as possible. Happy to answer any questions, but just wanted to give that brief background.
So as part of this ask, we have a pedestrian easement that we'll be requesting, and this is, and when we get into specific repairs, you'll see why. But the idea here is in order to provide a safe pedestrian access along the frontage. Can we go to the specific repair plan? So on Washington Street, we have the new building, as you can see in the hatch there. Along the street itself, we're complying with the complete street guidelines. We have 18 inches of pervious pavers. We have 2 raised planter beds that you can see by there. We're proposing 5 street trees. We also have a tree hearing with Parks Department on 8/6 because we're removing, I think, 5 or 6 trees as well to remove, to construct, and then we'll replace them. The sidewalk itself from curb to building is approximately 12 feet at its narrowest point, but where we have the planter beds, we have an area where it's 6.5 feet. That red line indicates the hatching for the pedestrian easement. The Disabilities Commission had asked if we could widen that easement in a manner to provide a little bit more accessible pathway in front of the building. So what I would suggest is where we can, we bump out that easement just a little bit wider to the first step in, and that'll provide 8.5 feet of clear pedestrian access along the property. And we can show that at the public hearing. That's about the gist of it. We're reusing the streetlights, but we're putting in new streetlight conduit and pole boxes, and we're also providing a shadow conduit at the request of the city.
Thank you, John. As you mentioned, whether it's you or David, if you can just, for the public hearing, have a rendering of the building, that would be helpful as well, just for context.
I think we have one somewhere.
Should have 3 of them.
Perfect.
So this is at the front of the building. As you can see, it's 5-story housing with first floor office and community use. There are no projections within the public way.
John, maintenance agreement, I know this is the Pine Street, if they may be at 501c3.
We're waiting for new business, and then we will reach out to Chong next week and start the LMI process for a maintenance agreement. The TAPA was filed with the city in the last week or so, and so it's under review. And we will we will prepare a construction management plan once we bring a contractor on board. If we can go to the supportive excavation. So for the supportive excavation, we're going approximately 4 feet into the public way. It will be cut 6 feet below grade at the completion as is city policy. And we have a gas line that we are dancing around. So we're trying to coordinate with them, and we will certainly do so prior to the public hearing. They've just been non-responsive to date. If you have any questions regarding the SOE, we have Mike Pashler online on the call.
Mike and Chelsea from GEI Consultants are on the line.
I know I should know this, but have we, through the JP Rocks process or other processes, have set design standards for what this stretch of the Washington Street corridor should look like? And are we being consistent with some of the other developments that are happening closer to Eggleston Square and those closer to Forest Hills?
I look to David. I haven't been part of those conversations.
Okay.
Yeah, I can certainly follow up. I actually came into this project after the Article 80 was completed. So I can certainly look to see if there's any specific follow-ups that have happened. I know that we've had discussions around the transportation action plan there, but I'm not aware of any specific design items that would or would not have been part of this.
If we could just check on that between now and the public hearing, obviously there's been a set of larger buildings that have been built closer to Eggleston and then down by Forest Hills, and except that we're building a consistent streetscape along Washington Street. That'd be a positive thing.
Okay, is that something I should reach out to William Moose on? Do you think?
William would be a point of contact. I think there's probably, BPDA has also set some standards on this.
Okay.
Thanks, David.
Thank you.
Other questions or comments on this? Todd or Robbie?
I think we're all set. There was one question regarding the size of some of the tree pits. They seemed like they may be a little bit undersized, and there should be plenty of room to expand them to be standard. If we could just take a look at that before the public hearing.
Will do.
24 square feet, what's our?
Yeah, I think,
that's our-
yeah, 24 square feet is ideal, minimum.
Yep. They're looking, obviously, right, a little under that right now.
Okay, we'll talk to our landscape architect.
Thanks, Dave. Any other comments?
I don't see any.
All right. David, John, is it work for you guys to come back in a month on August 20th?
Yes.
Great, we'll see you then.
Thank you very much. Good to see everyone.
Thank you.
Our next item is 815 Columbus Avenue, Roxbury, specific repairs on petition by Northeastern University.
Hi, this is Chris Adney with Niche Engineering, and I'm here with Dan Boyd from Leg of a Call. He's the opening for Northeastern. I'm going to share my screen while I turn it over to Dan to give a brief overview of the project.
So the project that we're building is about 350,000 square foot building. We got BPDA approval back in October of 2019. We are through 50% construction documents, got a foundation permit, and we will be applying for a building permit in middle of September. You can see it's got a roof garden deck on the 8th floor. It's 8 occupied stories, and then 2 stories of penthouse above that. This is next to the existing ISEC, which is on your right, and they are both lab buildings to support Northeastern's vision of expanding their research significantly. Want to go to the next slide? So this is a view from Molina Cast looking at the building. The plot in the middle that's got a little bit of color on the glass, that is the main entrance off of Columbus Ave. The streetscape is rendered somewhat realistically, but I'll show you a better drawing once we get further in. One more slide. So this is a view from, I'm going to say the east, looking west on Columbus Ave of the entry. The primary reason we are here is because we are interrupting the standard streetscape and tree plantings with a planter that is raised slightly on the DCR bike lane and has a raised planter on both sides. The curb cut that you see in this drawing is existing. We are actually making it a little bit narrower. I believe it's 28 feet plus or minus now. We're closing it to about 24 feet. Next drawing. And please interrupt me if you've got any questions. So this basically is a drawing that pulls ISEC, which is in the middle, Ren Park Garage, sorry, not Ren Park, Columbus Garage is on the right. To the right of that is Carter Field. And then on the left of the screen is the EXP complex. You can see the new ped bridge that is crossing the tracks and then ramps down between the 2 buildings. If you look along the streetscape, it is your typical street trees that are in green. In front of ISEC, that is interrupted by a similar island planter. DCR bikeway goes through it. Sidewalk is on the street side of it. And the trees in that planter, the primary trees are Dawn redwoods. Then we switch back to oaks, and we have, I think, 5 or 6 oaks in a row before you get to the proposed planter for EXP. Again, there are 3 Dawn redwoods in the tree lawn, and then there's 3 Dawn redwoods on the site side of that. And that's spanning the DCR bike path. The sidewalk itself, the materials will be replaced. All of that has been reviewed and approved previously underneath the BTD and Mass DOT PIC approval. We may do some of the work for Mass DOT. That's in discussion right now about where the right break to make to have us do versus them do, but it's the same design. It's the HSH design that was done for BTD that they implemented. Next slide. So with that, Chris, I'm going to toss it over to you, or hand it over to you to go through the specifics of the plans.
Okay.
Before we do that, one quick question for you, Dan. The purpose of the driveway in for the new building?
So the purpose, let's go back to, can we go back 2 or 3 slides, the sidewalk view? Yeah, right there. So right about where you can see that driveway cut, it goes into a garage style door that's in the facade. And this is to allow us to get entries. So on the first level right there in front of you that you're looking into is a robotic space up about 12 feet, actually about 20 feet in the air is a yellow beam inside. That's a gantry crane. So Northeastern is getting into robotics experimentation and development pretty big. This allows infrequent deliveries to come into the building and directly into the robotic space. In talking with DCR, what does not show in this is there will be 2 removable bollards right adjacent to the street, so cars don't come in here. And in talking with Sean Grant and Ruth Helfeld from DCR and getting their approval, they've asked and we've agreed that anytime we have a delivery, we'll have an NUPD officer there just because it's infrequent. People aren't expecting it.
Thank you, Dan.
Yep.
And then before we leave this slide, I just want to note that it looks like there's a curb coming up on the sidewalk. That's just a rendering item. The design is actually just a typical City of Boston curb cut. So again, Chris Ani with Niche Engineering, and I'm just going to walk through the specific repair plan here. So we just got the overview of the site. Columbus Ave is on the bottom of the page here, and the Ruggles Station busway is on the left side of the page. We've got about 280 feet of new concrete sidewalk tying in on either end to existing or already approved sidewalks. So this is in conjunction with the Melnia Cast project being done by BTD and MassDOT. We're tying into that sidewalk, and then on this end, we're tying into the existing sidewalk for the ISEC project, which was recently constructed. And I think the sidewalk itself varies in width because of that. So it's about 7.4 feet wide on this side, going up to about 8.1 feet wide here. And that's basically just because the street line is not perfectly parallel to the actual curb line on Columbus Ave. The curb line itself stays in about the same location. We are reducing the width of this existing curb cut, as we just noted. Today, it's about 28 feet wide. It's going to be reduced down to 20 feet for those infrequent deliveries. We're showing the bollards on this plan right there. And then, like I said, this is just a city standard driveway, so this will slope up and the sidewalk level will be flush all the way across. At the curb line, there's going to be a brick strip, which will match the existing materials that are already installed for the ISEC project. And then across from that, there is the permeable paver strip with the new trees. So the permeable paver strip will be here. We'll have the new oak trees, and then we'll have the new Don redwoods in this planted area in the middle. Then as we get right up to the property line, we have a piece of the DCR bikeway, which is actually in the public way. That's going to be Bitconk, and that'll be constructed here, the other half being on Northeastern property, and this is all within the DCR easement. One other thing to note, we have an existing wheelchair ramp right in the center of the project, which crosses the street to get to St. Cyprian's Place. We are proposing to remove that altogether. It's a mid-block crossing. We've already got the crosswalk here and here. So in removing that, we're also removing the reciprocal ramp on the other side. And we'll just create a flush condition for pedestrians on that side. With that, I will open it up to questions.
Chris, in the existing, so today, if you're out there, there's in addition to the DCR bike path, there's also a protected bike lane, which would seem to now, and I apologize if you covered this, my screen froze for a moment. Now it seems like it would actually hit the bump out. Can you just talk us through how how you would now progress towards Ruggles Station.
Yeah, so there's the bike path, which is on the top of the page, which is the DCR bike path.
Yep.
And then there is a bike lane that's in Columbus Ave. And that bike lane is right up against the curb. And what this area on the corner is essentially, the bike lane comes in here and cuts through, and then can also turn left to cross and connect to the Melnick House bike path.
Great. And I apologize, you might have also covered this, but this is sort of in design, other elements or connects with the, obviously it physically does, but sort of in concept, it also, or in design, it also connects with what the city is building on the Melnick House corridor. Is that correct?
Yes, it does. We had a meeting yesterday to talk through how the projects are going to interact with each other.
Great. Other questions or comments on this? Todd Rowdy?
I think we're all set on this one for now.
Chief, I'm going to assume that Amy is okay with the removal of that crosswalk.
Yes.
Thank you.
Any members of the public?
I see none.
None? Okay. All right. Dan, Chris, would it work for you guys to be back on August 20th?
We'd be happy to.
Great. One other thing. I think today, maybe I'm mistaken, there is not a pedestrian signal across the Ruggles Station busway. If you guys can just connect with the BTD team or the MBTA about that, I may be mistaken.
I think there is not today. I almost think they're adding it. I don't know if Guy or Ian from HSH know this, but we'll come back with that answer.
That'd be great. Thanks, Tim. All right. We'll see you guys on August 20th.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Our next item of new business is 35 Lamazni Way, Martha Road, Thoreau Path, Boston proper, pedestrian easement, specific repairs, on a set of petitions by Charles River Park D Company.
Yes, good afternoon. My name is Dan Aboud, and I'm with Equity Residential. Good morning, good afternoon, actually, to the chairman and members of the commission. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen here. Can you guys all see that?
We can.
Okay. Again, Dan Aboud, construction manager for Equity in Boston, representing the owner, Charles River Park D Company, for this meeting. I'm also joined by members of Howard Side Hunson, Chris Hodney with Niche Engineering, Chris Bolden with IBI Group, our landscape architect. I wanted to thank you for your time in hearing our new business for specific repairs and pedestrian easement associated with what we call the Outlet Project, which is formerly known as the Garden Garage or West End Tower, located at 35 Lamazni Street in Boston. A fully permitted project that's been under construction for near now, and will become a 45-story residential building with 470 units over a 5-level parking garage with 769 resident and public parking spaces. This rendering is a view from the Thoreau Path side of the project. And this is a view vantage point from the TD Garden of Lamazni. We were previously in front of the commission in August of 2018 for approval of the foundation and support of excavation work. And as I mentioned, we're currently in the superstructure phase of the project with nearly half the building height constructed and currently planning to phase occupancy sometime next summer. Work associated with these specific repairs will occur next spring and summer. For a little bit more detail, I'm going to hand this off to Valerie with HSH.
Valerie, you're muted.
Valerie, you're on mute.
Hi, can you hear me?
Sorry about that. Yeah, this is Valerie Shea with Howard Stein Hudson. I'm going to share my screen, but I'm going to walk you through the specific repair plan for the roadway and traffic mitigation as a result of this project. So if you give me a few seconds. Share it out. Are you able to see my screen?
We are.
Okay, great. So as part of the traffic mitigation, we, and the roadway mitigation, providing a left turn lane for this new driveway for the new development. So to accommodate this left turn lane, we're proposing new signals. We've had to remove this existing asphalt median and part of this cement concrete median. That involved also removing these 4 locust trees, which we have gone to the Parks Department and coordinated the tree removal. They approved that in November of last year. We've also, because we've removed portions of this median and also this existing median, we've recrowned the road and adjusted the drainage out there as well. In front of the site itself, we've included a pickup drop-off bay here that is surrounded by, pedestrian accommodations, street furniture, new trees. And moving further down here, there are bump outs to the existing curb line. And then also as a result of this bump in front of the site, we've also proposed a pedestrian easement, which I can bring up this plan, just so you can see it, and also the signals too. Going back to the specific repair plan, one thing I wanted to mention also was the raised driveway that we're also proposing as part of this project. And it's not shown in the specific repair plan, but we were impacting a coastal flood zone that basically went down the middle of this raised driveway. So we've also coordinated with Concom and they've approved an amended order of conditions in February of this year. We've also coordinated with Boston Street Lighting for any of the lighting relocations in front of the site. And BTD has reviewed and approved this design to date.
Valerie, PJ here. The plans that shows the traffic signal, at least the signal heads and the strain wires and the mast arms, those plans, at least the plans which I'm looking, actually might be the plans we are looking at also. Those are by NIT, correct? So I'm a little bit lost as to who is doing the traffic signal design plans. Is it HSH, Valerie, you, or is it NIT people?
Howard Stein Hudson. We did the traffic signal plans for this intersection.
Got it. So hopefully there will be a set of plans somewhere, because right now the traffic signal plans show up on the bed easement plans.
Yep.
Like if you look further down in the title block of whatever you are showing us, is that a bed easement plan?
This is under Mitch's title block, but it is supposed to be a pedestrian easement plan, yes.
Right, okay, so please make sure that we get the right set of plans, okay? Now the next question, Valerie, since the signal design is yours, I see a combination of strain poles and mast arms next to a project of such stature. If you all, I'm sure you all can optimize, unless this is the best traffic signal design from a mast arm functionality in terms of an urban design context. Am I making any sense to you? Because sometimes when you are trying to create great urban spaces and then we do traffic signal designs as the last thing, and we get these garish vertical structures spanning the streets which we are trying to create, and it is they need to be functional, but I have seen great efforts and I have seen poor efforts through my life. And so hopefully you all are looking at the most optimum configuration of doing lane control at a top stop light through a combination of systems that doesn't impact the visual corridors from an urban design. Am I making any sense to you, Valerie?
Yes, understood.
Awesome. Okay.
Yes, if I can add some context to that also. This is Robbie Burgess.
Sure. You are, sir, because I'm lost.
Yes, I am Robbie Burgess from Howard
Oh, hi,
Center.
Robbie. Sorry, Robbie.
Hello, Farah.
Sorry for not recognizing your voice.
Yes, we did look at multiple different configurations for this location due to the size and the needs for control. Across Lamazny, we selected the strain pole and span wire method because with mast arms, you just could not span enough of the intersection. You would have a large number of mast arms to do it in additional structures. So we always try to use mast arms because we concur that from urban design, they're more visually aesthetic. But in this case, the best solution, in our opinion, was the strain pole and span wire design. And
okay, yeah, Robbie, I respect your judgment. You're one of the best of the best. Obviously, you know, New York State and California, they have very slender traffic signal designs. For some reason, we are following the Texas model. The pole foundations and the pole size for your strain pole, I mean, that thing is going to be about twice my size. So sometimes when I have to design things of this nature, I would first start off with bed mount because you have one-way streets. Like Martha is a one-way street, right? If I'm not, I can't, okay? So to post mount signal design, look at what was done at Congress and State Street right in front of the State House, you know. So you do context sensitive designs, and I'll just leave it at that because this is your business. But every once in a while when I see these gigantic strain poles and the pole size that you are going to need just to manage the wind loading, and God forbid if you are going to put any street name signs or directional signs or lane designation signs on this strain, the pole itself, they become quite big.
Understood.
And then you got interstate size monuments on urban streets. So the urban design is kind of lost in the translation next to a building that seems to be of iconic signature. So probably I'll leave it with you to optimize that thought pattern.
Understood. We just obtained soil boring information out here, which will help inform the size of the foundation and the size of the strain poles. So certainly if they become overly large due to soils conditions, then, you know, we'll take another look at what we can do to mitigate that.
And it is most desired that you do the soil borings and give an understanding of what that might be rather than leaving it for the contractor, because sometimes I think BDD has had challenging moments when that design detail is left to the contractor. They take the borings and suddenly realize that the foundation is so big there's a conflict with utilities just to pour the foundation, and then this stuff looks way out of place due to the scale of it. Okay, so you and I, we may understand the nuances of it because we have done this stuff, and it is not fair for the rest of the public or the developer to suddenly be faced with this infrastructure glaring in our face. Okay, so
Understood.
thank you so much, Robbie. Good to hear your voice.
Thank you.
Valerie, Robbie, can you talk a little bit about how the pickup drop-off area functions here and where it is in relation to the building itself, the building entrances?
Sure, I'll let Val go back to that sheet. I'm more the traffic signals person on this job.
So the pickup drop off is here and the entrance to the building is right here. So it'll be right in front of the door.
Got it. And so the end of the pickup drop off is essentially at the stop line for the. All right.
Yeah, yes.
This is suboptimal. Just the notion of getting out of here, crossing the bike path as they come around a curve, and you have no way to pull out without being within the middle of the intersection. I don't have a great solution for this, but I think it's just kind of a tricky location to have pull out area.
We might be able to mitigate that a little bit, Amy. Oh, sorry, this is Robbie again. Because we have that crossing signalized, and we have signals prior to that, so we might be able to clear that block in between phases that would allow people to gain access out or egress from the pickup drop-off. So I'll look at that and see what we can do to try to create opportunities, safe opportunities for that pickup drop-off to operate. And then that crossing right there at the end of the pickup drop-off will be a signalized pedestrian crossing. So the conflicts with vehicles and pedestrians hopefully will be certainly at a minimum, and we'll get compliance for the crossing, meaning people don't jaywalk across it.
Regarding the geometry of that bump in, I missed this during my initial review of these plans, so I apologize, but it looks like you're kind of sneaking into the pedestrian easement a little bit. So you're essentially going to have vehicles within a pedestrian easement, which isn't what we like to see. I don't know if there's something you can do to just kind of kick that curb line out just enough to get it out of the ped easement, but let's take a look at that as well, please.
Okay, will do.
Sure. So we can,
Other questions or comments on this plan?
Yeah, I just had a comment on the drainage. So at Lamassney Way and Red Auerbach Street, you have a drop inlet there, and actually if you have a drop inlet, you need a sump manhole. And then the pipe leaving the drop inlet needs to either be a 15-inch pipe or a 16-inch ductile iron. And I know we do owe you some comments, so as soon as I get the rest of the comments, I will put all that in an email, and I'll include our detail for the drop inlet.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
There, as part of this too, there were also, I was gonna kick this off to Chris Hodney to go over the Thoreau path, which is separate from this.
Thanks, Bob.
Sure, yeah.
Thank you.
Go on, Chris.
All right, I'm going to share my screen. Give me 1 second. All right. So, just a little bit of background on Thoreau Path, because this is a kind of a different situation than I think we would typically see. It is a public pedestrian right-of-way that kind of meanders through the West End. It's not open to vehicles typically. It does have fire access capabilities, but it is otherwise simply a pedestrian path. And this is behind the building, so our project site is on the top of the screen, and then Thoreau Path bends around at the bottom of the screen. So the work that we're proposing here, it's relatively minor. There is an existing concrete walkway which branches into around a landscaped island. We're going to reshape that island a bit. The trees that are in there are going to remain. We're going to move a single street light out of the new walkway and into the new area where the island is. It'll be a slightly larger island in the end. And then there are a few new manholes that'll be underneath the pedestrian walkway, and that's to relocate some drain lines which are underneath, which we're actually coming onto. This is all on the project property, but they were actually interfering with the building itself, so we had to relocate these, the storm drain. So that's what these manholes are. there any questions on that?
Todd, my mind is a little bit fuzzy as to who owns Toro Park. It is possible that it is not Public Works, and it might be EDIC or BPDA.
It is a public way. The BPDA, I believe, does have some rights and responsibilities back here, but for the most part,
So over the years, Todd, there has been many requests to maintain, update all of that stuff of Toro Park, including liability. So you may want to just check and make sure that the right fee owner is in the conversation, whether this is even eligible to be processed through the PIC. Just check those little details, because I just don't want PIC to take action if it is not our real estate.
yeah, so when this project came through PIC a year or so ago, they had some earth retention work that encroached into Thoreau Path back here, and we checked into that at that time. And PIC does have the authority to approve improvements back here.
Okay, just putting it out there, because
Certainly.
I couldn't find the Toro Park plans on the stuff which you gave us. So I'm having difficulty on that front, but I'll leave it in your very trusty hands to see whether this is within the domain of PIC to entertain, because this, okay, I'll leave it at that. There's some homework.
Did you engage fire very specifically about this? They're usually pretty vocal back here. So do we have something specifically about this plan and their feelings about it?
So I'm not sure I know the answer to that. I will double check and get back to you. I believe we did, but it was so long ago that I can't specifically remember it.
Yeah, we'll want something specific in writing from the fire department. They have a bunch of access issues that exist back here, and we certainly don't want to make them worse.
Okay, we'll get in touch with them and we'll have that for the next hearing.
Thanks, Chris. Other questions or comments on this, on the Thoreau Path portion? Charlie or Chris, other things you guys want to cover?
Nope.
No.
All right. Todd, any members of the public?
I see none.
Very good. All right, work for you guys to come back on August 20th?
Yes.
Perfect. All right, we'll see you then.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
Our next item is 4-6 Payne Street, Houghton Street, Dorchester Specific Repairs on a petition by 4 Payne Street LLC.
Good afternoon, members of the commission. My name is Mark Savatsky, and I'm the owner and builder for 4 Payne Street. 4 Payne Street is a 6-unit residential project at the end of a private way. This petition for specific repair seeks to modify about 6 feet of curbing to allow an improved turn radius for a fire truck. This is something that I've talked to BFD and ISD about, and they've asked me to make this improvement. I'm happy to answer any questions and turn it back over to the commissioners. Thank you.
Thanks, Mark. Questions or comments on this? And Mark, just
all work on private property, right?
So to clarify what's going
No,
on
the
here.
corner's in the public way. He's just making the opening to this a little bit wider.
Yeah.
So that a truck can make the turn.
Yeah, the
widening the opening from Houghton onto Payne.
Got it.
Exactly.
Yeah, the work shown here on Payne Street is really just for reference. It's the work in Houghton Street. What he's doing is basically creating a curb cut that's too wide to be considered administratively. So we had to pull him through here, kicking and screaming.
Taking it from 32 to 38, is that right?
Yes.
Got it, more or less. All right. Other questions or comments on this? Todd or Robbie?
Nope,
Any members of the public?
none.
All right, Mark, we'll see you on August 20th if that works for you.
Terrific. Thank you, guys.
All right, till then. Our next item is 566 Columbus Avenue, 450 Massachusetts Avenue, West Springfield Street, Boston proper, pedestrian easement, specific repairs, projection license, temporary earth retention license, on a set of petitions by CKG Columbus LLC. Stephen, or Guy, go ahead. If this is your project, or Stephen, you're on mute if you're presenting.
There we go. All right. All right. Let's start. I was sharing my screen earlier. Did we lose that?
We can see the plans. Yep.
Okay, great. All right. Stephen Sawyer with Design Consultants Inc. I'm here with Mark Savetsky with CKG Columbus LLC. We also have Guy Boosett and Ian McKinnon with Howard Stein Hudson, and also Jonathan Garland is attending this meeting today. The proposal before us, where it's the demolition of the United South End Settlements building. It's bounded by Mass Ave to the, it's bounded by Mass Ave, Columbus Ave, and West Springfield. The building is to be replaced with a 6-story mixed-use building. And so with that, we're making significant repairs to the frontage surrounding the building. I think what I'll do is I'll start with Mass Ave and just work clockwise around the building. So along Mass Ave, we'll be shrinking the curb cut a bit. There's currently a parking lot at that location. We'll be shrinking the curb cut to a 14-foot wide drive entry, and that will provide entrance to an underground parking garage to service the new building. Along Mass Ave, we're providing a new furnishing zone. Mass Ave, we have a 5-foot wide furnishing zone with an 8-foot wide minimum sidewalk at that location. We'll be maintaining the brick surface. Along with that, we'll be providing 3 new street trees along Mass Ave. And then as we work our way around Columbus, currently there's a compliant apex ramp at the corner. We're proposing to maintain that. Maybe Guy might bring, there's been discussion through the VPTA, we're providing directional ramp at that location. Some comments on that. Due to there's significant reconstruction of the signals would be required to provide directional ramps there. We're proposing, due to that fact, we're proposing just to maintain the apex ramps at the corner. It appears that those have all been rebuilt as compliant ramps within the last few years. As we work around Columbus Ave, currently there's a small bump out. It's a bump out along Columbus. We'll be straightening the curve out, removing that bump out, providing 5 new street trees along Columbus Ave, along with a blue bike station in the furnishing zone. The furnishing zone along Columbus Ave is proposed to be 6.5 feet wide. The sidewalk is variable width. The minimum width of 8.5 feet proposed at that location. And as we work around the corner, at the corner of West Springfield, that ramp is non-compliant. Right now, we're proposing an apex ramp to match the ramps, the reciprocal ramp on West Springfield. That ramp is non-compliant, so we'd be looking to reconstruct the reciprocal ramp on West Springfield. Across Columbus, there's an existing compliant ramp. We just maintain that ramp as is. And as we work down West Springfield, we have a minimum sidewalk with 3.5 feet with a 3-foot wide furnishing zone. At this time, we're proposing to take down 3 street trees here and replace it with 4 new trees. So the project, basically, at this point, we're proposing to remove 3 street trees within the right-of-ways and replace them with 12 trees. And is the proposed tree well construction, we're actually providing structural soil, enhanced structural soil for growth, and also irrigation. So the tree pits are a little bit not quite the standard PIC, but with the structural soil and irrigation, we've actually received comment from the parks that they're in concurrent that the tree pits are adequate as designed with that provided. The sidewalk surface is proposed to be brick. Right now it is brick. We're going to maintain the brick surface. And that is a summary of the repairs as we walk around the perimeter of the project. I don't, would the commission want me to move through the other applications, or would you want to comment on each as we go through
Why
regarding?
don't we pause on specific repairs for right now and see if there's comments or questions on that?
Minor detail, we gotta eliminate, oh, sorry.
Denise, you're on mute.
Thank you. Thanks, thank you. Go ahead, Amy, I'll wait.
My comment is minor. We got to remove one of the plates of the Blue Bike station. We don't double bridge them.
Okay, so Amy, this is Guy Busa here. We can work with BTD and Boston Bikes to get that up.
Yeah, I just read you Kim's comment. I don't really know the logistics behind double bridging or all of that stuff, but that was a comment that she gave. So follow up with her and whatever she wants.
Yeah, I'm not sure of the situation either. Thanks.
Oh, Steve, Guy, yeah, so I know you've been working with our engineering customer services department, on what to do with the sewer that's going, through, your proposed building and all your, proposed items here. So, that needs to be, further discussed with them on what you plan on doing with the existing.
Okay, yeah, I've been in discussions. There was question whether that was, originally our indication was that was to be abandoned, but it appears that there's still, it has not, there's question whether it's still in service. We are proposing to maintain that through the base. Actually, it's underneath the garage level, and there'll be a removable plate with access. Revised plans just were submitted back into Phil LaRock for review. So the proposal is to maintain that and provide access, with access provided for any needed service.
Okay, great, thank you.
My questions are, not questions, my thoughts are for the project team. Let me see, where do I want to start? The bricks, what type of bricks are you going with? Is it the prior South End bricks, or is it the city's new wire-cut bricks?
I believe it's the city's, the wire cut brick.
Yeah, just check on those. Sometimes these little details gets lost in the
I'll check.
translation. Okay, that's
Okay, I'll
one.
check. Okay, I'll check with the landscape architect.
Could you please? Thank you. Second, the structural soil. I'm going to assume, I appreciate the fact that you are putting in a sand-based structural soil system. Hopefully things have evolved to a better set of standards so that the contractors can install this stuff. My concern is always differential settlement on a brick surface or a brick bedding. However, that being all said, I'm going to assume, Mr. Liming, that we are going to have a maintenance agreement that captures the full limits of the sidewalks.
Yes.
Rod?
Yes, and to speak to your previous point, their current details do show that the bricks are going to be city standard wire cut. But with that being said, a LMI will be in place for the entirety of all three of these sidewalks.
Awesome, awesome. And Guy, I'm not sure who this one, okay, I am not in a position to say that I like seeing these apex ramps, but every once in a while people my own team members say that, gee, they don't conform to ADA guidelines. So Todd, can you just connect with Zach to make sure that what is being proposed, which makes sense, because at least it is in the path of travel rather than the 290-degree ramps which we put. Just want us to be consistent with what gets approved at TIC for private projects versus some of the things which we design on our own, which sometimes gets the better of me.
Yeah.
Okay, so South End is obviously chock full of apex ramps. I want to make sure that they are all consistent with however we manage ramps. Okay, whether they are supposed to be two separate at 90 degrees versus the apex ones. Just a detail. What else? The street lights, are you putting in new lights here, or I'm sorry I missed it if you said it.
Yeah. No new lights. We're actually, let's see, you can see we're actually maintaining all the light poles in the furnishing zone. They fall within the furnishing zone, and we're maintaining the light poles around the perimeter.
Okay, what I don't remember, and again I apologize, don't have photographic memory or anything short of it, don't know the condition of the poles that are there. For the public hearing, please do bring us a rendering of what your project looks like. We just want to make sure that the vertical infrastructure which we have here hasn't been beaten up due to age, nor is it going to get beaten up further from the mere act of construction. Okay, so those are the little things which I don't know. You may want to check on that front. It will be really awkward if you put, not if, when you put this super nice project and then our street lights look as if it is from another century, simply because of the age of the infrastructure, plus when it gets smacked around during construction.
We'll at the public hearing, we'll have a full rendered elevations.
Yeah, I mean, I'm just trying to look after your interests so that the functionality of those lights, because what I don't know is if the underground system is adequate that feeds these lights. Some of our South End lighting systems are new, some are not new, and so you may want to just check with our street light folks. Todd helped these nice people to circle back with Mr. Donaghy.
Of course. They're also working through a few outstanding comments with Sarah, the Disabilities Commission, in regards to the ramps, and also a few displaced handicap accessible parking spots. So they'll have that cleared up by the public hearing.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you.
Two related questions, one related to Para's comment and one related to Amy's. I think this block face and probably maybe the one opposite on Columbus are to some degree outliers in what the sidewalk is like on Columbus Ave, where in most stretches on Columbus Ave, if I'm not mistaken, it's a concrete path of travel with a brick furnishing zone. And to some degree, that's also the current condition. And correct me if I'm wrong, here you're proposing to make it all brick.
Yes, we're proposing to make it all brick. We can entertain, I guess, we can check with the landscape architect and development team if there's anything that, to modify that.
Oh, Chief, I'm sorry for interrupting your thought pattern. I misunderstood. What do we have in the sidewalks today?
Today, in the public way, and today it's all brick. There is concrete set back off, I think on the private realm. There are patches of concrete here and there. There's particularly as you get down to West Springfield. So it is a mix. It's a mix of concrete and brick. But as far as for the pedestrian travel way, I believe it is brick. For the
Functionally in that area, and the brick area is essentially where the street trees and the signs are, and the pedestrians sort of walk along the concrete in front of uses today. That sort of changes as you get closer towards West Springfield, and then north, or anyway, closer to downtown on Columbus Ave, it's, I think, almost entirely concrete path of travel and brick furnishing zone. I might be wrong in stretches. But.
No. To echo what the chief's saying, the city has a policy where there shall be no new bricks, period, within a path of travel. So
Okay.
would truly appreciate if you folks can clearly articulate whether the sidewalks in totality which you're showing within your project, what the current conditions are.
And Steve, I totally agree. I mean, it is a definite mix in this area. I think on the opposite block face, if you pull up Google Street View, it looks from, I think, a similar mix. So it's by no means consistent in this stretch. But I think this is an opportunity for us to decide what is that consistent pattern, at least on this block face. So anyway, if we can work through that between now and the public hearing, that would be great.
Yeah, we require that cement concrete path of travel in any place that's not designated as historic or architectural or something that gets you out of that requirement. So anything that's not protected, it requires the minimum cement concrete path of travel.
The Landmark District Commission has consented to this project appearing here at New Business with the understanding that the South End Landmark District is still reviewing this streetscape design. And that is going to determine whether brick should be here throughout or if there should be a concrete path like Disabilities usually likes to see.
Mark, confirm this. I believe we're at Landmarks next Thursday.
Yeah.
And then one other thing is correct, yes.
Yes, okay, yeah, all right, yeah, so we should be able to have that ironed out with Landmarks with their requirements by next Thursday.
Great. And then I think if in the conversation you have with the active transportation team, if you can all just connect about sort of the long-term plans that they're looking at or short-term plans we're looking at for Columbus Ave to see if there's any things we should be thinking about on the Columbus Ave block face that ties in with the overall sort of connect downtown bike network that they're building out.
Okay.
Other specific repair comments or questions? All right, hearing none. Steve, do you want to talk us through the next portions?
Okay. So do you see that on the screen?
We do. Yep.
Okay. So we have a vertical, just a small vertical discontinuance, vertical license plan. I'm sorry. So the building has a small canopy off the face of the building. The canopy does collect water and it internally drains. So the area where, as you can see, the existing building follows this line, and the canopy is a corner here that protrudes slightly into the right-of-way. So we'd just be looking for a small 15 square foot license at that location. It's approximately 10, I think it's about 10 feet above grade. As you can see, the canopy is just, it's just a canopy alone. The building itself is not protruding into the right-of-way. So that's a vertical license. That's the only vertical license we're looking for this project.
Tara, you seem to be on mute.
Sorry, what's that?
No. Okay. Just so that there's nothing lost in the translation, if you could give us a very straight dimension as to the clearance of the bottom of your canopy from the street, rather than me having to do some calculations here.
Yeah, we have, so we show it's 11.5 feet to the curb line on Mass and 15.1 to the curb line on Columbus. Actually, we have those dimensions spelled out.
Okay. You still do. I had to do math. Okay, thank you so much.
Right.
But that rendering of what this building will look as great as it is, show it to us at the public hearing so we can go who and
Yes. Keep moving on, or?
Yeah, other questions on the protection license before moving on to pet easement or anything else?
Just to clarify, this
Steve,
is
while we move to the next.
Okay, so then we have the earth retention. So it'd be a soldier pile lagging wall around the perimeter. In a couple places, it just just ekes out into the public way here along Columbus, and then around some of the corners. Actually a fair distance into the West Springfield area, and it wraps around and along Mass Ave. We're just about a foot or two out into the public way here, and then we come and zigs and zags a little bit into the public way and back. So it's a soldier pile wall to install it, to get the foundation installed. At this time, it appears there is one telephone, there's a communication conduit that runs in this manner. We believe it's the service. We need to confirm that with the provider. That appears to be the only interruption of any kind of electric or telecom service. We do need to coordinate this corner here. We have to be careful. There may be some traffic signal, some traffic signal conduits. We need to confirm that we're not impacting any of those. What we'll do is modify our earth retention to ensure that there's no impact, or if there is impact, we'll make sure we coordinate any disruption or any relocation requirements with the city.
Any questions on the earth retention? Stephen, one thing which your comments just sort of raised, you have at least one, and I'm sure potentially more, DAS poles, distributed antenna system poles, that are part of this area. There may be other sort of requests in the future. If you can just make sure to connect with Todd between now and the public hearing, just to make sure that the right sort of conduit's being put in place to the streetlights to aid in, or to make sure any lights are converted in the future, it's done with minimum disruption to your property and to the street.
All right. Will do.
And then, yeah, if you could hop back to the pet easement, that'd be great.
I'm sorry, what's that?
I think we didn't cover the pet easement, the fourth action.
Okay, yeah, the last one's pet easement, yeah. So in order to widen the pedestrian way along Columbus Ave, we have a pet easement, just about 750 square feet. So basically it rides along the front of the building, along Columbus Ave to provide the wider pedestrian way from Columbus. So it's fairly simple.
All right. Questions or comments on this? Steve, anything else?
Sorry,
you want?
sorry, Chief.
Okay,
Just housekeeping bothers me, housekeeping stuff. And let me make sure I'm saying things so that I don't embarrass myself, not that it matters. In your pedestrian easement plans, if you just could, you've given us the square footage, 749 square feet. But if you can also give at least the width of this ped easement, I'm going to assume you have a constant width. Okay, so all you just a little tiny bit of AutoCAD detailing plus the length.
Okay, yeah, we show the text is offset. I gotta put the text up there. So we have the length and the bearing as it runs along, but we'll add the width also.
If you could do that, so that way we understand, plus the offset to, from the ped easement to the tree grade, because we just want to understand what is the clear zone that we are getting. Plus I'm going to assume that's a series of bike tracks on the top right corner.
Yep.
What are
That's the blue bike.
Yeah, the blue bike. So the blue bike, end of the bike is going to stick. So the limiting point is not the tree grade, but the back end of the bike. This is like too many B's over there. Okay, so just give us appropriate dimension so we understand the wisdom or the adequacy of the ped easement you're giving us.
Will do.
Thank you, sir.
Other questions or comments on the ped easement or other action? Stephen and team, anything else you guys want to cover?
I'm all set. Guy or Jonathan, anybody?
I'm all set here. Thank you.
This is Jonathan. I'm all set as well. Thank you to the commission for your comments, and we look forward to making these adjustments and picking up on the details for the next hearing.
Thanks, Jonathan. All right, August 20th work for you?
Sure. Yep.
Great. All right, we'll see you guys in a month.
Thanks.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Our next item is 34 Winthrop Street, Soley Street, Charlestown, grant of location, petition by Crown Castle. Do we know who we have presenting on behalf of Crown Castle?
Looks like Anna is online. She may be on mute, though.
You're on mute.
Hey, there we go.
There you go.
How's that? All right.
Perfect.
This bottom screen keeps popping up and down. Good afternoon. This is Herb Bertoni from Crown Castle. We are petitioning for a grant of location with lead company status and no participants on Soley Street and Warren Street in Charlestown. This job is for placing a conduit to provide a new service to 34 Winthrop Street for the city of Boston. The dig is 286 feet in length, conventional 4-inch, and also includes city shadow conduit. And can you see my plan?
Yes. Yep.
Okay, good. This is hard to manipulate. Okay, so that's the plan. We're coming out of the City of Boston handhole, coming down Soley Street, out to Warren Street, where we're replacing an existing handhole, so we can add a splice case to it, and then conduit will come out and back into the electrical system on Warren Street.
So when you say electrical system, you are going to go into Eversource manhole?
Correct.
And tapping into Eversource's telecommunication lines?
That's where our main backbone is.
Sorry?
Backbone. Yeah. We have existing cable in this system.
You have existing cables within the Eversource system?
Correct.
Are they yours or are they rented from Eversource?
They are ours, Crown Castle's.
And you're leveraging two existing handholds, so there's no new or additional handholds that are created as part of this?
No, there is not.
Other questions or comments?
Yeah, Herb, we're gonna be doing work in this area on Soley and Warren Street next year, but at this time, we don't, anticipate any conflicts with you. If that, for some odd reason that changed, we'll let you know right away.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Any other questions?
Just not related to this, does Crown Castle have infrastructure, meaning wires, in our neighborhoods that are attached to N-Star, Eversource, or our overhead poles? Do you have overhead wires going within our neighborhoods?
I'm sorry, Par, I didn't hear you.
No, sorry. In the downtown area, most of your wires are underground.
Correct.
But in our neighborhoods, our outlying neighborhoods, whether it is Hyde Park, West Roxbury, our suburbs, do you have any of your wires on the top, meaning airspace within attached to?
Yes, we do.
Right.
We have generally most of our plan is up in the power gain, but we do have some here, there, and everywhere in the comm space on the lower
Gotcha.
section.
Okay. Thank you. Just to educate me. So you've got some wires up there in the neighborhoods attached
Yes.
to street light poles belonging to Eversource and or the telephone company.
Correct, yes.
Thank you, sir.
Yes. You're welcome.
Other questions or comments? Todd or Abby?
We're all set on this one.
Members of the public?
I see none.
All right. Herb, August work for you, August 20th?
August 20th, yes.
Great. All right, we'll see you then.
Okay,
And
thank
our final item of new business is 611 Tremont Street, Boston proper, a grant of location petitioned by Crown Castle.
Okay. Can you see my screen?
Ken?
Okay, great. Okay, this is Herb Bertoni from Crown Castle again. We are petitioning for a grant of location with lead company status, no participants, on Tremont Street in the south end, between Aguadilla Street and Dartmouth Street. This job is for a new service for a node located at 611 Tremont Street. The dig is 325 feet of conventional 4-inch conduit and also includes city shadow conduit. And open for questions.
Great. And so, again, you're just connecting two locations, no additional handholds being created.
Correct. Existing manhole here, come right down Tremont and over into this Eversource manhole.
Got it. All right. All right, any other questions or comments on this? All right, Herb, John, and Abby, sorry, any questions or comments from you?
No, none.
Or members of the public?
None.
All right, Herb, we'll see you on August 20th. Does that work for you?
Yes, it does. Thank you very much.
Perfect, thank you.
Okay, have a good day. Thank you. Good night.
And with that, I will entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So moved. Take care, all.